I want to talk about if you guys saw this story of this rapper being fatally pew-pewed at a car wash. And also his 5-year-old daughter was unalived as well. A tragic situation, but I noticed that when I was reading the comments, it was a whole bunch of comments from like black men saying, we as the black community got to do better. We as black people got to do better. And I was just thinking to myself, I've said this before, but it's just like, why is it that when things like this happen with black men, it's the black community has to do better when it's not the black community? It is black men. It's definitely not black women. Black women aren't anywhere chasing down men and unaliving them and then unaliving children, 5-year-old little baby girls, because of street beef. It's not happening. Black women are not doing that. And so my question is, why is it that when there's something positive going on in the black community, that black men want to take all the credit and they want to stand alone and they want to say black women don't have any share in it. Like, how they say that the black man is the most desired, the most wanted man. Everybody wants them. If you notice that the men that say things like that, they always make sure they separate themselves from black women. They say, oh no, nobody likes black women. Nobody likes y'all. Nobody wants y'all. Y'all are mean. Y'all masculine. Y'all ugly. Y'all nappy headed. This, that, and the third. But they'll say like, oh no, but everybody wants black men though. Because they perceive that to be something, I guess, positive. So they want to make sure that they let everybody know that it's just black men only and not black women. But then when we talk about things that are really problematic, right? Like the state of violence in the black community. Black women being ex-trafficked, black women being unalived, the fact that black men are unaliving each other and causing so much chaos in their neighborhoods and carjacking and stealing vehicles and selling, candy out here to smackheads, et cetera, et cetera. Then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Whoa, it's everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we need to start talking about that because it's not black women doing none of this. You know what I'm saying? And also, I think that it is good for us to like actually acknowledge or try to understand some clarity why there are so many black men acting like savages. Like what type of mental process do you have to have as a man to unalive a 5-year-old child? Like, how do you, I saw that they said that it was her birthday the day before she got unalived. How in the world do you as a black man, young or old, think that it is okay to unalive a child? Huh? Like, for real. And then we don't talk about like, Dirk being in jail for, conspiracy, or all these other big time celebrities that go to jail for doing this exact same thing, which lets you know that this criminality runs deep. And finally, number 4, I just want to say that black women aren't the problem. Black women's weaves, black women's lashes, black women's nails, black women's natural hair, black women's bonnets, black women having children or not having children, or, having whatever type of demeanor you say that black women have. That's not the problem in the black community. And I really wish that, we would really have this conversation. And, you have somebody like Jason Clay 988 in the comments who said, ask the question to the women who have abortions. That is such a stupid rationale. First of all, it is a weak rationale because we're not talking about that. We're talking about the black men who put people in the dirt that are here alive and well and understand what's going on and happening to them. We're not talking about abortions. You get what I'm saying? But when you ever try to hold a black man accountable, he always resorts to, what about the women? What about the women? What about the women's? And that's exactly what I'm saying when I say that that's not leadership behavior. That's weak behavior. You get what I'm saying? Because why in the world are you talking about that? Because that has nothing to do with this. And I would venture to say that a woman doing that is not the same as a man unaliving a 5-year-old little girl that just had her birthday, who's very aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So please, let's get this together. Hey, how you doing, Miley? So anyway, like I said, Play says this is two separate conversations. Black women are the problem in totally different situations. Play, I would love for you to say what? I would love for you to say what? Because let's see, employment, black women aren't the problem. They're the most employed race of women. Education, black women are one of the most educated groups in America. As far as crime and incarceration, their incarceration rate has dropped downtrended since the early 2000s. The most incarcerated woman is the white T woman. Their rates have gone up while black women's have gone down. So now we got employment, education, and incarceration, right? And we know that black women aren't going anywhere unaliving people like this. So exactly the problem where? Huh? Is the problem because you don't want them to, you want them to like be a doormat for you? Being a doormat for y'all doesn't work either, because I see y'all preferences getting torn back and forth. Y'all turning them every which way but loose. Seen a black man online talking about he don't want to pay $75 for a bill. He want the white tea woman to work overtime to get it. So what are you talking about? Please make that make sense. I really need to know. Tell me what problem statistically that can be fact checked. And please don't talk about weave or your personal experiences. What statistically are black women the problem with, please?
No, I don't have a problem with black women. It's our black people in general, is that we just need to have a better relationship with one another. Now
Okay, but sir, can
I
I
don't
ask you a
know.
question?
Yes,
You said
ma'am.
in the comments that black women are the vastly the problem in different ways. And while I was talking about the violence and criminality that's going on in the black community at the hands of black men, so I asked you,
Okay,
what
yeah, I
are
can see
black
that.
women doing that is causing problems in the black community to this degree that can be proved with statistics or some type of fact-based research?
Now, with this situation here, there's no correlation between what a black woman has done to lead to this situation to occur. What's been
Then
the
why did you
topic
mention
that's
black
been,
women?
I'm about to get to it. So the back and forth between the black man and black woman has been more of a relationship base, not outside of this nonsensical killing and all this. That's just weird shit that black men do. But when it comes to the black woman and the black man relationship, all this stems from our generational traumas and things of a conversation that could actually fix these problems. Now, when it comes down to the weave and shit like that, that's just rage bait. People just find shit to pick at because a black man don't articulate himself very well to be able to get his point across. But it's the point where the black man can be arrogant and the black woman don't want to listen. So then it's just a clash between the two. So then they just start nitpicking shit at each other. But when I'm talking about black women, it's just certain parts where we just have to get better at communicate with one another. That's all that is. With this nonsensical, when it comes with black men killing black men and killing kids, that's just
You
street.
got to say unaliving.
Oh, unalive. Excuse me. I apologize. When it comes to this unaliving of black men and they unaliving each other and killing kids,
Unalive
that's.
and please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this live thing. I apologize to everybody. I'm sorry. But the unaliving, when it comes to this, that's just street bull stuff. Like that's not something that has to do with us growing our community. You sound very educated, and I like these type of conversations because we are the people that's here to grow our community.
Okay.
We just have to find a common ground with one another to
All right,
say,
Clay.
hey,
I'm not understanding like what you're saying. First of all, I will say this: like you dismissed unaliving as weird stuff that black men do. This isn't weird. Like this is like insane psychopathic behavior, and it's
that's
not something that
it's weird.
happens. It's not something that happens infrequently. It's something that happens very, very often.
It's
It's a
weird
problem in the
behavior.
black community.
But weird
Period. And
behavior can be psychopathic, sociopathic. I'm just not
you
looking for the
said
big
women. You said
words.
black women.
No, I didn't. Excuse me.
I'm confused at what you're saying because we're talking about a certain particular topic and you're talking about things that are completely unrelated to what we're speaking about. What I'm talking about is why are these things happening, and why is it that we want to talk about the work we need to do as a black community when these particular things happen, when it's not the work that we need to do as a black community, it's a work that black men need to do. This has absolutely nothing to do
Okay.
with the interpersonal relationships with black men and black women at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So that's what I'm trying to get to it. You said that black women also have a lot of work to do. I forgot now exactly what you said, but this has nothing to do with us, period. Black women do not behave in this way. You would be hard pressed to find a black woman that would run down on a man with his child and start doing what occurred, or chase down a
Okay.
5 year old that just had her birthday and put
So
her in the
we having a
dirt.
one
And I'm not
sided
saying that
conversation.
black women have never
Okay.
unalived someone, but statistically, it very rarely happens. So
Okay.
what are we that's what we're really talking
So
about.
so okay, I understand now. Okay. So I came in. I was trying to listen enough to engage in what was going on. So I apologize for being off topic. But we are having this one sided conversation, and that's fine. Why
What
black
one-sided
men?
conversation?
What the one sided conversation is? Why do black men unalive other black men? That's the conversation.
How is that one-sided when the majority of the time, 95% of the time, it's you all doing it to each other, not black women? That's not one-sided. It's reality that it is one-sided, factually and statistically. It is one-sided, sir.
That's what I said is one sided.
Yeah, but you made it like at one-sided makes it sound like I'm making it one-sided, but it's not.
No, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. I'm saying I think you're confusing me because I'm saying it is we having a one sided conversation and we're talking about black men versus black men. We're not talking about black women. Correct.
Yeah, because this doesn't apply to black women.
So let's have this conversation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Why do men? And so when I say weird behavior, it's very psychopathic. It's very sociopathic. It's a mental disorder. And I say it's weird and to group all those words in together. I'm not desensitized from it. Well, we may be all desensitized from it at this point, but it's very it's very psychopathic that these black men does these type of things. Why does it happen? It's because you have these gentlemen that are desensitized, that also has a lot of trauma. They don't know how to engage their emotions correctly, and they also followers. They are followers and they also sheep, and they need to be guided. The thing is that when you look at the popular music and things like that, it's really secular music, and that stuff get into your spirit and it's damaging. People don't realize how we have two ears and how that's really can sense and shape your mind in a way, and can really push these type of things forward. To where it's like, well, me and my friends doing this, so let's go do this. Well, this they doing this to us, let's retaliate. This is how young men move, and I don't agree with none of this at all by any means. How to fix it? We still looking for that answer, because the thing is, it takes two parties to listen. And when you're talking to a young guy and he's not really in a bright mindset to even change, you're just talking to a brick wall. I have cousins. I even have older brothers that had the same mindset from the time they was kids, and now they're 40 years old, older than me. And while I'm also trying to engage in a conversation with him and say, "Hey, brother, we are together on this. We're not separate." He don't even want to listen to me, and he's older than me. So these people, these men, don't really change very often unless they want to. And I have a little brother that grew up in the same way as the older brother did.
Okay.
He's looking to change a little
Yeah,
bit more.
play. I think a lot of this is
his tone is so
It,
disgusting regarding the
I
topic.
think
Not
I
tone
think a lot of
disgusting.
this is culturally based. Black men created and curated a culture of violence and criminality that they not only glorified but they put on a pedestal, and then they made that into one of the most popular art forms in the world. And I think
Yeah.
that that is something that, even though there are a lot of black men that very well know the effects of that type of music, they continue to make it. They continue to glorify it. Nobody speaks out against it. I remember Ice Cube he's made so much bad music that has affected young black men. And then after he's, older and living in his life comfortably
He
as
would have
a
changed it.
multimillionaire, then he wants to talk about the effects that his decisions to sell
Yeah.
out his community had made onto black men. So I just feel like none of this stuff can be, addressed. And I don't really, honestly, if I'm to be honest here, I don't expect black men to address it. I really don't. I expect them to continue to skirt around an issue, to not take accountability, to try to find some way to blame black women and their 30-inch bust downs to
But
to
what? So that's
uh
the
to
part right there
rationalize.
where I
Just a minute.
was. That's the part
I
right there
I
that I was.
find it to be for black men to find some type of way to rationalize it away or to minimize it, because that is constantly what happens. And I don't think, excuse me, I don't think that we'll ever be able to get anywhere until that type of psychology or type of, I guess, unwillingness to accept the reality of what's going on and make changes. I don't believe that we'll ever be able to get anywhere to do anything to stop these things.
So
But
hold.
really, my thing is that I wanted to speak to black women is to say that we have got to stop the whole thing of this narrative. When these type of things happen, we talk about the black community, the black community, the black community. We as a black community, we have to stop this. We as black people, we got to stop killing our people. We as the black community, we got black people, we got to stop unaliving the kids, because it's not us. It's not black women doing this at all. So why in the world will we share in something that we have nothing to do with, when if there's anything that could possibly be perceived as negative towards
Because
black women, black men want no part of it.
you're
And they
alive.
make sure that they let us stand alone. So why in the world would you stand and accept criminality in the black community? It's just like when white people, they'll come and they'll talk to black women, they'll talk to, excuse me, black women and say, oh well, black people are always taking cars and selling candy in the streets and unaliving people. And then black women proceed to defend that point and talk about crime statistics. No, you don't need to do that. You need to say, hey, no matter what type of crime situations you're talking about, statistically, that's not black women doing it. Because when there anything that is perceived to be positive, as I said earlier, regarding black men, this whole idea that they're the most desired man, which is really rooted in, a huge cope. You never hear them say, oh yeah, everybody likes black women too. They make sure that they are separated. They make sure that they say, oh, nobody wants you nappy headed, but they just want us. You get what I'm saying? So I don't understand why so many black women want to have these discussions and make sure that they center black women included. It's not us. And we should make sure that we separate ourselves,
There is
because
a
there's
distinction
no,
there,
like I
but
said
it's not
earlier,
y'all fault.
you're not going to see the majority of black women ever doing any type of act that's heinous. Period. You're not. Just like I
But I'm
just
trying to
saw
figure out where the
a
correlation
article
between
of a black man that had been connected to
that.
14% of the unalivings in his city and state. That you never see that coming from a black woman's side. You never will. And that's the reason why I ignored the guy that was there, because he wasn't saying anything. All he was doing is deflecting, and that's normally what they do. They deflect, and then they have nothing of intelligence to say. They have nothing to combat what you're saying. They can't give you stats. They can't give you facts. All they can do is do a big, well, not really, or make excuses. That's what they always do. That's the only reason why I asked them up, because I just wanted the people that are listening to hear that anytime a black man ever will talk to you about things like this, he's always going to deflect. He's always going to make nonsensical arguments. He's always going to make excuses. He's always going to make it like it's not a big deal. Just like he just called the unaliving of a child and their father weird S. He said that's just the weird stuff that black men do. The weird stuff? I didn't know unaliving a 5-year-old child that just got here on this planet is weird. That's actually insane. That's actually psychotic. That's actually like straight out of a horror movie. If we want to be real here, it's out of a horror movie. And you can never trust black men, in my opinion, that come at it like that. You never can. And it's also an idea that they think because they are owners of a peen, that somehow that makes them like, you got to stop and listen to what they have to say, even if it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, this is just real life in practice right here for you to see, because it always happens. Very rarely, if I had to do a percentage wise, I would say 90% of the black men that I engage with about topics like this only deflect. And 5% understand the problems and they say, hey, I just don't want to be around other black men at all. I'm an exception and I don't want to hang out with black men, other black men. The only black men I want to hang out with are black men that are on my type of time, which is not criminality. That's 5%. And then another 5% are black men that realize the problems and take accountability and want to try to come with a solution, but they normally can't come with a solution because they haven't been infected with with the criminality that has been glorified in the black community. And that's it. So 90% of the time, when they come up here, you guys you're not going to get them to, you're not going to see them take any type of accountability, nor are you going to see them educated enough on the topic to even have a conversation with you. Because I bet if you asked them how many points LeBron James made, or how many points Steph Curry made, or how long, he was in the league, or what his college stat points were, and this, that, and the third, they will understand those topics, right? Or you ask them, hey, when did T.I. come out with his first album, and what was it? And what's the names of the songs on the album? They can tell you that. Or they can tell you like who's who in the NFL, or what type of scat pack, which one do they like, and how many cylinders is it, and all of these things, but they can't tell you nothing, Nathaniel, about what's going on in the black community. All they can tell you is, hey, I ain't like that. Or, hey, it's the white T-man that's doing all of this. They can never give you any type of information. And I also think that's a problem. Because if you don't know, then you're not educated on the issues that are happening. What are you going to do? How can you make any change? And I just want y'all to know, I didn't drop that guy at all. He left on his own accord. I did not drop him at all. I didn't kick him. Because somebody in my comments, when I post these lives on YouTube, said that they wanted to me to let the men talk more. So I let him talk. So I did. He dropped on his own. I just want y'all to know. So anyway, like I said, I think that, we as black women, we cannot control, right, the actions of black men. We cannot control them. You know what, Play? You had plenty of times to make a statement, sir. You made no statement. You're clearly uneducated about this whole topic. You clearly have no knowledge to impart. Nothing. So I don't know what you would have wanted to say. I gave you an opportunity to speak, and when I did, you had nothing to say. You had nothing to say. You were completely uneducated about everything. I didn't talk over you. I let you speak plenty of times without saying anything, but you weren't saying nothing. Like, what are we talking about? Anyway, as I said, y'all can tell me if this man was boring or not. Like, did he say anything that y'all could have took some type of information from? Did he mention anything about, yes, I was quiet plenty of times when this man was speaking, but he said nothing. Because I was talking. So you should have waited until I was done speaking. It's just that simple. But anyway, like I said, all right. As black women, this is really what I want to say to you guys. Is that something I really think that would really benefit black women, is that you completely divorce yourself from these statistics, from these statistics and from statements like the black community. Like when people are talking about crime, when people are talking about unemployment, when people are talking about a lack of education, when people are talking about ex trafficking and, molestation and the secrets that happen in the black family, I would like you guys to say, excuse me, that statistically is a black male problem. It's a black male issue. Instead of always sharing along with it. Because I'm tired of every time something like this happens, all I see is black women in the comments like, we as black people, we got to stop doing this. We black people, we got to stop doing this. When it's not black women doing it. You know it and I know it. Let's see here. Kara says this is why black men don't feel safe talking to us. No, this is why black men don't feel safe talking to you. Because I talk to black men all the time. And there are some that can't get a thought out and they're uneducated and they end up leaving. And there are other black men that come up here and say their perspective with intellect and intelligence and with empathy. And I sit there and listen. So if you want to be a pick me and let any type of ignorant dude speak for 50 minutes that doesn't care about nothing that's going on, you can do that, Kara. It's always going to be a pick me that's going to coddle black men and get played in the process. If that's how you want to live your life, please do it. I gave that man an opportunity to speak, and he did not say anything of value. It's not my duty to hold that man's hand. I don't owe him anything. You hear black men say online all the time that they don't owe black women anything at all. They don't owe them nothing. Oh, I don't have to protect you. If you're my woman, maybe I have to protect you, and that's a maybe, but I definitely don't owe you anything. But you think I owe a random Negro that I don't know what? You know what I'm saying? I hate it when y'all say things like that. Like, my husband's black. He feels safe talking to me. I don't owe some random Negro a safe space. I do owe black women that, though. So what are you talking about? Like, weird. Like, that's so strange. And women like, the lady that I'm talking to in the comments, like Kara, they're exactly the reason why black men will never do better. Because no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter how unintelligent they are, there will always be a black woman that will sit there and make excuses. And that's scary and sad. You can go ahead, my divinity. Go ahead.
So, listen, this idiot. I'm trying to be nice. Why would you sit up here and think that we supposed to create a safe space for people who literally hear all of the shit that we go through in life and they don't even care? We sit on these lives day after day, night after night, and explain to them what the issue is in the black community is, how these men have been raping, abusing, being pedophiles to our kids, their own damn kids, and you want us to give them a safe space?
Oh, you got
You
to say
want us to make
PDF.
them PDF. You want us to make them feel safe? How much more safe do we need to make them feel when you have predator protectors? You have women who literally hide these men when the police are looking for them. You have women who are intimidated into not telling, which is another form of protecting them. And you want us to make them feel safe. At the end of the day, I'm getting so tired of these women who feel like we're supposed to continue to coddle these men. I'm not coddling nobody that literally looks at me as if I'm beneath him when all of these jokers came from us. I don't understand it. And that's why I had to come up here. I'm trying so hard to stay off folks' panels, but these women are really like taking me to another level where I'm starting to see why Princella gets so angry. Now, I don't think she should be disrespecting anybody. But at the same time, though, when you really start to listen to some of these women, a lot of the reasons why a lot of us have gone through things is because of the women that think exactly like her comment was. Whatever her comment said, because they feel like we're supposed to protect them. They feel like we're supposed to create safe spaces for them. Oh, y'all don't let them be emotional. No, they don't let themselves be emotional. They don't allow themselves to have safe spaces. They keep wanting us to do everything for them, but in reality, they're doing nothing for us but causing us trauma. And I just came up here to say that because I'm so sick of it.
All right, sis. I wanted to respond to Brooklyn Shanae in the comments. She says she's trying to figure out when black men when BMs make a safer space for BWs, never. And I wish that people would also think logically when it comes to that. If you ever see like BMs where they're talking about how they're upset that they have to pay child support because they were reckless with their seed and impregnated a woman that they didn't plan on being with. Can you imagine if a black woman tried to come in that live and talk about her experience or try to minimize what those men were saying? They would tear her to pieces and they would not listen to her. I've seen it happen 1,000,001 times. So I want to know, just like my divinity was saying, and just like Brooklyn Shanae, it's like, where is the reciprocation? Where are the safe spaces that BMs allow for black women to speak how they want to? Huh? And give them their perspectives of what they have to do. There are none. So, and the ones that we do have where supposedly there are BMs doing that, the majority of the time those men are panderers and they're only doing it so they can, get money from black women or clout from black women, followers, views, et cetera, et cetera. So what are we really talking about? It's just insane to me. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Like it's so weird to me.
Did you see this comment that this dude Greg just made? He said that, responding to Brooklyn, if doesn't, I guess if does, if you don't make a safe space for your human man, then someone else will.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, I just saw that. JS Greg, I just want you to know, that literally is an insane thing to say. And I'll tell you why, because nobody makes a safe space for black men. That's number one. Number one, no one's gonna do that for y'all. Period. Because you're never safe for anybody that you're in community with. That's one. Number two, do you think that the white tea woman is gonna make a safe space for you, or the non-black woman? I think the whole, what is the guy Telvin Osborne that we just saw, that his white tea baby mama put him in the dirt and then try to act like she was cleaning her pew pew. I think that's a perfect example. Where are the white tea women that were advocating for that and saying, hey, we need to get justice for this man? They were completely silent. So you can use that as some type of scare tactic for black women, that somebody else is going to do something for you, but they're not. The reality is that anti-blackness applies to not only us, but you as well. So stop the games. And if you wanted a safe space, then you need to be the example. When have BMs ever been a space of safety and protection for black women? Never. So what are we really saying? And y'all have got to stop trying to triangulate other races of women against black women, because at this point in time, no one cares. No one cares. When black women were in the position where they did care, you still were, and black women were extremely catering to you. You had our old like actors, if anybody remembers these people, Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, James Earl Jones, all of these men openly trying to run after white tea women, and we're not caring about the women in their community. So there's never a time where, no matter what a black woman does, that's going to keep you around. Like, it's just not going to happen. But
Can I
anyway,
say
let me
something?
go here to Kels. I'll give you 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So I'm trying to. I'm gonna answer about the situation because I'm on a different fence with it. Like a lot of people keep saying it's sad. It is sad, but I just feel like we gotta stop as black people, like not holding people accountable for their BS. Like I get it, it's a sad situation, but at the same time, you knew that you beefing with people will put your daughter and your family in a bold position, and you caused this. Like it's not the little girl's fault. It's your fault. Because as a parent, as a father, as a mother, it's your job to protect your offspring and your family too. And you put yourself in a position to where you knew that these people might come back and get you for whatever it was you was doing. And I don't think people really understand that the issues they cause out here in the streets with other people, they don't think about the consequences or karma of what might come later on. And unfortunately, this little innocent child got caught up in the BS that her daddy had. And it's unfair and it's sad.
Okay. All right, Kels. Let me go over here to my divinity. She said she wants to talk after you. Go ahead, my divinity.
Um, okay, so why is it that when it is something positive, black men want to stand alone? Because they are ego driven. They only like to take responsibility for anything that is positive, because anything that is any form of criticism, they can't handle it because of their egos. And they to me, they just seem to ignore everything that is the issue. And so anything that's positive, they're always going to gravitate to it because it makes them look good, which again goes back to their ego. But then when we are talking about the state of the violence in the Black community, is both Black men and women. Exactly. And the problem with that is because they don't want to admit that they are the people who cause the most violence in the community. That just is what it is. They create all of these issues from the conception of a child's life up until we get into relationships with them, meaning they abandon their children either before they're born, after they're born, when they turn about 3 or 4, and then we get into relationships with them. Let me not skip the essay that happens to young Black girls from these men. Some of them are even their damn fathers. And then when we get older, we get into relationships and the same shit ends up happening. And so they don't want to take responsibility for that. They feel like it's on both ends because they feel like we should have known that they were garbage. We should have known that these men were not right. Our intuition should have told us. But at the end of the day, though, if y'all are saying that it's not all men, then how should we have known that these men were dogs? That doesn't make any sense. Why are so many Black men acting like savages? Because they simply are. Regardless of what their excuse is, whether it is slavery, which is what they also always like to bring up, even though none of them were ever enslaved, whether it's about white supremacy, whether it's about the whole bingo card thing. I came up with a bingo card thing with my friend yesterday because every time you ask these men about this stuff, they name all these different things. It's because of the Black women. It's because I didn't have a father. It's because we were raised in single mother homes. They have no reason really when we were literally in the same households as them and we're still outpacing them in every single area. They just have absolutely no reason to be what they are, but they simply are savages. And personally, I'm of the thought that it's actually a biological issue. I know a lot of people don't like to say that, but I'm going to say it everywhere that I go because we cannot just blame this on men being socialized this way. If they did not have this already in them, they would not be so attracted to doing these things. So in my opinion, it is biological. That Y chromosome is really something else. Number 4, Black women are not the problem, and we have to admit that as
Just 1 second, my divinity. I'm sorry, I had to interject here. Jonathan Ryan in the comments is saying that this is like racist stereotypes. The violence in the Black community that we're talking about, that's not a racial stereotype. What she's talking about, everything that she mentioned was things that are actually happening in the Black community. So you guys got to stop saying things as in order to get somebody thrown off from what they're saying or to try to minimize what's being said. And I think that is literally insane. We're talking about something. This is not unusual in the Black community, this story that we're talking about, but all of a sudden now it's racist. And I think that men like yourself that do things like that to deflect, you will never be able to get anywhere because your ultimate goal is deflection or ignoring what's going on and not taking accountability for it as opposed to actually talking about it, which is very, 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 very strange. And Screwface, your numbers are wrong. Go ahead, my divinity. Sorry, I'll let you finish up.
It's okay. The crazy part is all of these things that he's claiming as racist is awfully funny when the BLK men are the new YT supremacists. They don't like racism themselves, but they don't have a problem treating us the same way that they claim they're being treated. So that's one thing. And so no, we're not the problem. The only thing that I see is when we realize that these men are like this, and then we keep giving them chances. This is how they are. Like once you accept that this is how these men are, once you sit up on these lives like I have been for almost a year and you see how the average Black man thinks, it's very hard to think that something good can come from just one of them, in my opinion, in the form of a close, intimate relationship. I have absolutely no hope for that. And so they will not continue to be my problem unless something happens with like a stranger. But like, I won't keep putting myself in a position to interact with them knowing how they are. It's just not that serious for me.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you.
Oh, no problem, my divinity. Okay, let me go down here to Queen and then I'll go up there to Star. Go ahead, Queen.
Yeah, hello. This this case was just actually it was very sad. Um it's very interesting because I was just on a live yesterday with a black man, and he hosts his live, and he goes live like every day talking about black women in their wigs and their weaves. And I just find it so interesting that the real issues in the community, they don't want to speak about how the black men are unaliving everyone in the community, even the children. Like, they don't want to talk about the real issues in the community. They want to talk about weaves and wigs. So that's the first thing I wanted to speak on. And yeah, I think everybody knows, even other communities know that black women aren't the issue. Everyone sees that black men are the issue. I just think that other groups are probably scared to be called racist, but they see the dysfunction in the community. That's why they don't want their daughters dating black men, because they understand that black men are the issues 100%. Yeah, and another thing that I want to talk about is that we are in the community, so there's nothing racist of speaking about our community. We are most likely to be affected by it. Most black women are 6 times more likely to be unalive by a black man. The femicide rate is really high. So these are things that we just can't ignore. These are real issues within the community. And we're only 13%. That is crazy.
I looked up the some stats about like black femicide, and it said that black women make up 10% of the female population in the United States, but yet 59 to 60% of all the unalivings of women. And of course, we know the majority of the time crime is intraracial. So all of the times that those things are happening, normally it's a black man unaliving a black woman. But when we talk about those things, for some reason, people ignore them. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. It's very important. It's things that affect us. It affects the children. It also affects other black men, but I don't understand why they don't speak on that more often. Like you were talking about the weaves and the wigs. It's a man that I see on here. His whole page is only about women wearing weaves and clip-ins and stuff like that. And I think that's insane for you to be a black man in 2025 and you would not choose to make your platform talking about something that could directly affect you, which would be crime. Or at least black men, getting off the least employed race of men list or something like that, or education is insane to me. Or telling black men to be more responsible so they don't have to cry about child support, to be more responsible with their seed and who they put it into, and to be celibate and abstinent instead of trying to put their man meat in anybody that will allow them to, and then they wouldn't be in these positions. I don't know. It just doesn't make any logical sense. But let me go up here to Star. Go ahead, Star. You got 2 minutes, Star.
Yeah, I unmuted. A lot of these black men that are killing, they're raised in single mothers' homes.
You got to say unaliving, Star.
Well, I can't say that.
No, you have to say unaliving because the live
Oh,
could
my
get
bad,
flagged.
my bad, my bad, my bad. A lot of these black men who are killing, I'm sorry, are unaliving people.
Oh my God.
He got
Oh,
too many followers on here to not know that you can't say that. He trying
I
to get
know.
your live messed up.
All
That's what
right.
he's trying to do.
See who you go trying to. I don't even.
No, you're not gonna get buck with no black woman on here. So I'm gonna tell you right now, this is your one warning. You say anything else that could be flagged, I'm just gonna drop you. It's just that simple. You already been told. So go ahead.
A lot of black men who are unaliving are raised by single mothers. So who seems to be the problem when black women are
Okay, so once again, we got another goofy up here. We got another goofball. What does single mothers got to do with the decisions that grown men are making? When black women do something, they can't blame the fact that their
fuck you
daddy
dumb
wasn't
black
there.
bitch? Y'all
They
fucking
can't blame the
stupid.
fact. Shut up, shut up, shut up,
Ah.
shut up, shut up, shut up. You're ashy.
I told
Sorry
y'all.
about that. Sorry about that. I just wanted to say I can't talk to somebody whose first instinct was to blame their mama. Why you not blaming your dad that's not there? Why you not blaming the black men in the community that when you're going to school and you're trying to do right, you're trying to do right. They try to incorporate you, try to get you into some type of schmang and try to get you to join some type of clique and try to get you to do negative behavior. Why are you not talking about Dr. Dre and NWA and Quavo and T.I. and whoever else popular rappers now that are talking all of this stuff, King Von and everybody else is pushing these negative narratives that are causing black men to feel like being a criminal is cute. But you want to talk about a single mother, but you never want to talk about the man that is gone. Well, if you want to talk about the single mother, she could have had you, popped you out and put you in a dumpster or dropped you in the fire department chute or left you somewhere to go in foster care and possibly be a victim. You know what I'm saying? But you want to talk about the woman that raised you. And let's talk about single mothers. If it's the single mother's fault, how come black women that are growing up in those same single households are not doing what y'all are doing? How come black women are not over here running down on a man and his 5-year-old daughter and taking them out of here? How come? How come black women aren't out here being called the Kia girls? Because they're out here taking everybody's Kias and driving them around and stealing them. Huh? How come you're not seeing all of these black women on the block serving up everything and ruining the black people in their community? If single mothers are the problem, why is it that black women seem to be raised by single mothers and do fine? They become the most employed race of women, which is a fact. They become one of the most educated groups, which is a fact. Why is it that these things somehow aren't affecting black women? Does that mean that y'all are weaker? What? And once I said, at what point do you take accountability for your own actions? Now, the world says 18 years old is when you should know well enough to make a decision. Whatever decision you've made is on you. So you can't blame your mother for what you're choosing to do and what you're choosing to be involved in. Get that straight. And once again, there are plenty of single mothers that tell their sons, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And y'all choose to become enamored with the street life because black culture glorifies that lifestyle. Just like, what's his name? I don't know if y'all remember a rapper named Young Berg. Now he is a producer named Hitmaker, and he produced a lot of music for Tink. So y'all know who I'm talking about. He said that he grew up well off, wealthy, decided to become enamored with the street life, was leaving his mansion during the day to go schmang bang with people that he had no business being involved in. So where's the single mother to blame at that point? Huh? So once again, it's just a throw off for y'all to not take accountability. And I should have known that when by his profile picture, the dude that was up here was ashy. But do better. That's all I'm saying. Like, y'all got to get real and stop trying to throw off things that don't make any sense. And once again, that is a problem. And more people are going to be unalived until y'all realize that the problem isn't your single mother that went to work, that tried her best to raise you, feed you, clothe you. She did the most accountable thing that you can ever do as a woman. Get pregnant, have the child, raise the child until it becomes an adult. That's the biggest form of accountability that you can have. Until y'all stop blaming y'all mother and start saying, what about them OGs in the community that told me that I should do this, that, and the third? What about all the musicians that told me I'm a pop you, I'm a unalive you, I'm a serve this up, I'm a do this, oh, the feds watching this, that, and the third. Until y'all actually make a connection that that's the problem and not your black mama, you're going to continue to do these type of things every day. But anyway, let me keep going to Orion and then T. Go ahead, Orion.
Cause triggered, then they have to admit that their daddy didn't want them. That's why they act like this. Your mama chose you over your daddy. Your daddy didn't want you. That's why he wasn't there. And that's the big elephant in the room that a lot of men don't want to acknowledge. They put their dad on this pedestal, but your mama chose you. That's why she took care of you. Your daddy didn't want you. Anyways, next, I think a lot of men choose not to talk about the effects of gang violence, pimp culture, and things of that nature, because then they would have to take accountability for their hand in it and how they're responsible for certain parts of it.
All right, Orion. Okay. Let me go down here to T.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I saw that ashy dude right there. Like I was like, oh Lord. I knew when I saw a dude when he said the problem is, if for some reason I knew he was going to blame mothers and mainly his mother. You on point when you said his mother, because to me, when we talked about yesterday with the math is not math, and we did not raise our peers. Dude, you're somewhere in your 40s. Is none of the women on this panel, women in their 30s, that's the fault of why you are dusty. That's the blame. That's blaming your mother's generation. If you have a problem with the women, if you have a problem with the single mother household, the first person you got looked at is your mother. Your mother generation is who you have to blame. Coming over here blaming women in their 30s that had nothing to do with raising your ass you behind, have nothing to do with it. And this is why when they bring up shmushmotions, I usually tell black men it hasn't been enough. They go, oh, well, y'all lead in shmushmush. And I go, no, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It was 22 million. It should have been 100. It should have been more of y'all, because maybe this baby would have been alive, or maybe she probably wouldn't exist if he wasn't there. But as you can see how far that went, because the dude was very irresponsible. And like you said, glorifying this thug life, and they love glorifying the thug life, being a pimp. And if you some way a decent man, you get called a simp, you get called a punk. They don't want to see decent men amongst them, let alone want to see them thrive. And when I see, and then when we talk about these issues about how do we fix this, the mindsets of these men, the number one thing they blame is the mothers, the single, supposedly the single mother household. And then they say you got to have a positive male figure. And I'm like, but y'all crap on the positive male figures. Y'all call them simps. So that doesn't make any sense. Y'all want nothing to do with when it comes to decency. When it comes to decency in the black culture, it's like that does not exist. It's like the only type of people they defend are scumbags, or people, or dudes, or the kid diddlers in the family, the violent ones. It's like, and they wonder why we say that the black culture is garbage, because look what you defend. You came up here, and instead of addressing the guy, the father, the father that's in the home, and that's the ironic part. This dude is in the home, right? He talked about single mothers while we are talking about a father that fucked up. And then he still blamed it on the mothers while we have a dude on the screen. The father messed up. He failed to protect his daughter. So that's the part that I find it to be very ironic, how when it comes to asking for so-called solutions, how can we stop this, they always deflect and try to project and try to distract us with things that is with points that are irrelevant. This is why they never going to get nowhere.
All right, T. Okay, let me go over here to Mecca, then My Divinity, and then Cree. Go ahead, Mecca.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like that, pew pew violence is still a thing, especially with the amounts of people in the community actually trying to stop it. Like, I don't get why people don't get the fact that the way that you go about things, um I get that it's a pressing thing to be able to get finances together, whatever, that push different people into different positions. Even how as many guns illegally
Let's say
got
pew pew.
into the
Pew. Say pew
pew
pew.
pew pew. I'm sorry, I forgot. Pew pews got into the BLK community is it was a forced thing, really. And like, unless we break from it, it's not gonna do anything but get worse. But at the same time, you have to be able to fight against something, you have to recognize and acknowledge all the ways in which we have, all the reasons as to why it's not sticking. All the, like, so again, when you talk about like the mentality of breaking down each other, it's like that divide and conquer mindset, and it does not only happen to one community, it happens to multiple communities. And that's not to deflect what goes on in the BLK community, but I'm saying, like, when all people want to do is see us tear each other down and tear into each other, it's gonna always be something. And so even that note to push somebody in the direction to go and shoot up anywhere where it's public. You get what I'm saying? Because it's certain people who, yeah, they felt like they were pushed into a situation where they had to commit crimes to even like make ends meet, but then they still had
Okay,
morals. You get what I'm
Becca.
saying?
So, what do you think that, like, what you're saying as far as like, um, men having to do what they had to do? Do you think that this is that type of situation?
No, I don't think that it ever is an excuse. I'm basically saying like you have to like to be able to actually be able to cause and effect to fix the problem, you have to know the whole ordeal of the problem, how it started. Why isn't all of the solutions that were put in to fix the issues still a reoccurring issue? Because I'm
What?
saying this not the first time, somebody's kid had been caught in the crossfire. I'm from Atlanta. You go in the West End area, they shoot up that area all the time, and they did not
You
hit.
gotta say pew pew.
Sorry, pew pew. Sorry.
It's okay. I would just say this, in response to what you're saying. I think that, sometimes when we make it like that, like there's external issues and we don't actually make people responsible for the actions that they choose to make. Like, I think there are a lot of black women, the majority of black women every day that make the choice and decision not to engage in this type of behavior. If they see a car that they want, they don't say, hey, you know what? I'm finna just go ahead and pull out the blick and tell them to run it and give it to me, because a lot of black women have understood that that's not the way to go. And I think that in this day and age, making it and boiling it down to like external factors, I think a lot of the factors that are happening are of black men's own design. One of the major designs is, and I wouldn't say that white tea people weren't behind the idea of pushing hip hop and gangster rap and drill music and everything into the black community, but they couldn't have pushed that if there were more black men willing to say, you know what, let me use my brain. Me glorifying a type of criminal behavior and putting it on TV and making it seem like it's the way to go, and also interjecting that lifestyle with beautiful women and money and material things is going to make men want to do that. They could have easily said, no, we're not going to push this type of thing to our community, and say, I will just be broke. Nobody can do anything to the black community as far as the things that are really affecting it without black people's cosign and acceptance of it, because they always, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, use a black face to do whatever heinous, egregious things they want to push towards the black community. So I think that at some point we have to, acknowledge that black men are the ones perpetuating the majority of these things that are happening. And they're not just like some innocent victims that, they're like zombies and they don't know what's going on and what they're doing. The men that did what they did to this man and his daughter, they knew that they shouldn't do it. They knew that it was wrong. That's why they didn't stick around and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and wait because what we did was okay. They know that it's wrong. They know that it's criminal. They know that it's evil. They know that it's immoral, but they just don't care. And at some point, we have to figure out why. And just in response to Sean Corey in the comments that says black women are perfect. It's so funny that y'all always like to say that when we talk about the issues in the black community. Nobody said that black women were perfect. Nobody said that black women are not, don't have any faults or flaws or anything. What we're saying is that you tell me how many black women that you know that would be capable of running down on a man at the car wash and unaliving him and then unaliving this man's daughter. Huh? You tell me the percentages. And I can tell you the percentages of what black women do. You know what I'm saying? And statistically, we're not even talking about feelings. Can you tell me how many black women you see carjacking people? How many black women you see doing all of these things that black men are doing actively right now in 2025 to ruin the black community? Huh? So it's like, y'all got to get real. And when you talk about some women raise those men, Those are men. They're in charge of their own decision. Those same women that are raising the men are raising the girls. Why aren't the girls doing it, Goofy? Are you not talking about the men that prey on men, young boys, and engage and tell them that they should be engaged in these criminal lifestyles? That's my thing. The only thing y'all can ever do is blame a woman for your decisions. You are what is it to blame? You're blaming a 23-year-old man's decisions on his mama. What? Then how come y'all don't say, hey, black women that are wearing weaves and wigs and they're single mothers and they're doing this and that? It's because of their mamas. How come black women don't have that out? When y'all say that black women are masculine or they're treating black men wrong or they don't know how to do this, that, and third, why aren't y'all giving them that excuse, that out, that it's an external influence, it's their mama, and the reason why they do it, so therefore they shouldn't be blamed for it? No, right? Because that type of reasoning only applies to black men when they want to get out of taking accountability for something. Respectfully do better, all right? And stop coming in here with your ash and your dust. Now I gotta go to my divinity because I told her that she could speak, and then I'll come back to you too, Mecca, because I'm sorry I interjected. And then I'm gonna go to my divinity, then T, and then I'll go back up to Mecca if she wanted to respond to what I said. Yeah, go ahead. I'll give everybody 2 minutes. That way I can make sure I hurry up and get back to Mecca. Go ahead, my divinity.
So I think it's funny that these men always come in here talking about it's the mothers who raise these men that's out here in the community doing all the stuff that they're doing. But let me tell you something. Most of our eggs, I would say the majority, if not all of our eggs, have no issue. It's the men's sperm. It's the men's genes and genetics. So if you ever look up something about which race of men has the most issues with narcissism or antisocial personality disorder, it's going to be black men. That's a personality disorder. Then when you turn around and you look at the personality disorders or the issues that are very similar in black men and black male children, it's called conduct disorder. And they're getting this from their dads. So it's funny how they get mad at us because we stayed to raise these hard-head, aggressive-ass males that's little juniors, carbon copies of them, and they don't even consider all of the stuff that we have to go through when dealing with their children alone. And they had the same issues. They're just older. Conduct disorder is a mental health condition in children and adolescents that involves a persistent pattern of aggressive and antisocial behaviors. It can include rule breaking, aggression, disregard for others, lying, smug use, or criminal activity. Some examples of rule breaking include running away, staying out late, or skipping school. Aggression can manifest as bullying, fighting, or cruelty to animals. Now, that's for that's for the African American children, the male children. They are the ones that have that disorder more than any other race of children, right? Now, then when you go and you look up antisocial personality disorder and the fact that black men suffer from this more than any other race. Antisocial personality disorder, it is they tend to lie, break laws, act impulsively, and lack regard for their own safety and the safety of others. Deceitfulness, hostility, irresponsibility, manipulative, risk-taking behaviors, aggression, impulsivity, irritability, and lack of restraint. If we see that most of our men, this is a statistical fact, that black men have this disorder, this personality disorder. This is not a mental illness. This is a personality disorder. They have something messed up or flawed in their genetic makeup. Then they end up getting us pregnant with these children. And if it's a boy, the chances of him having oppositional defiant disorder, which you cannot diagnose until they're about 6, but after they turn like 10 or 13, then you diagnose them with conduct disorder. So these men talk so much about the single mothers and what we're doing wrong, but what they're failing to realize is that their sperm is flawed. It's defective. Now the male himself is already defective.
I
Okay.
give you 30 seconds of my divinity.
Okay, but then you turn around and add bad genes to an already flawed, a specimen. So what really can we get out of? What really can we do as single mothers, quote unquote, that's left alone by these degenerates when we end up having many degenerates? And I'm just keeping it real. I have a son. He has these issues and these diagnoses. I mean, it just is what it is. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you for the gifts. I'm gonna drop.
Okay, no problem, my divinity. I appreciate you. Let me go down here too. I'll give my perspective on what everybody says later. I just want everybody to get a chance to speak again. Go ahead, T, and then I'll go to Low Smith, and then I'll go back up and everybody else. Go ahead, T.
I was just gonna say, since we want to talk about that, how this was all put by design to do all of these things that have so much flaws in the black community, then it's not the single mother's fault. I'm just gonna say it like that. It's not the single mother's fault. It was by design. It was the white tea man. And the black women have no part in how she became a single mother and how her son became a degenerate. It had nothing to do with her parenting. It had nothing to do with mistakes she made. It had nothing to do with the man that she picked. It was all white tea supremacy. That is what happened. If we're going to go there and talk about the cause of why a grown man that knows the difference between right and wrong, know the difference between breaking the law and being sneaky, and know how to avoid try to go to jail, then that means that you know what you are doing. It's called premeditation. You're premeditatingly making these decisions. So with that being said, before anybody, if you want to talk about extending their grace and saying how, it's not these black men's fault because it was by design and all this other stuff to break us apart, then how can you blame single mothers then? Then if that's the case, the single mothers is not at fault. That's where the disconnect comes in when they want to sit there and say, because I'm sorry, what Mecca said, that was just full of excuse. No disrespect for you, no disrespect to you, sister. But it's high time that we get away from that spoon feeding, coddling, that as if these dudes not aware of what they're doing. I'm just like, oh, it's by design. And then, but no one has no problem blaming women for the decisions that she make and the men that she chooses. Everybody always said like, well, she should have chose better, right? Okay, so my thing is, if that's the case, then it was the white tea man. The white tea man made her choose a degenerate black man. The white tea man created a degenerate black man, and then that's what she went by, if that is the case. Because listen, we in 2025, we not on that Black Panther wanna be, oh, the white tea man set us up. Listen, the black man didn't have to take the cheese. You didn't have to take the cheese. And if they have morals like she claimed that they have, then they would have put the love of their people before the love of the white tea man's money. That makes no sense to me. They sold us out, and we still in 2025 aware of that. This was by design, and yet they're still doing it. There's no such thing as a conscious candy dealer. That makes no sense. A conscious candy dealer that knows the effect of what candy does, creating candy babies, making all these kids be born with a defectiveness, making them born being slow, being born with STDs and these gang violence, all of that. All we know, all of these things, and it's funny how we all in the same age group, we know that, but yet this 23-year-old didn't know that, but yet these other 30-year-old men don't know that. We got to stop making those excuses. It's just an excuse. These are grown men. You can't say that all of this was not their fault, but then claim that they are leaders of the community. You can't have it both ways. If you're the leader of community, then that means you inherited all the responsibilities of your own decision making. That doesn't make any sense. These are not children we're talking about. These are grown men. Grown men. And I'm just tired of hearing that excuse. That's just my opinion. If anybody want to say, anyone come up on this panel talking about how, you got to blame the single mothers. No, 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 no. It was the white tea man. It's not the single mothers. It was the white tea man.
Okay. All right, T. All right, let me go over here. I'm sorry. Let me go to Orion because she was waiting to speak. I'll give her 2 minutes and then I'll go down here to Low. Go ahead, Orion.
I agree with T. If we're not going to hold black men accountable, and so if we don't even acknowledge that there is an issue and we're prioritizing the issue of just human life, wanting human life, like not unaliving anybody, that's what we're doing right now. Like that is the priority. Like even before the dysfunction, can we just keep each other alive? And by not holding them accountable, that means they cannot atone for their actions. And the atonement is what we're really trying to get to, the change in the action. We have to acknowledge the problem to then get the change behavior. And it's not single mothers, because the moms ain't telling them to go out and pew pew people, sell candy, and all of the things. Pure pressure and pure influence is way more powerful than anything a mother does. As much as we sit here and say, we sit there and see so many mothers raise their children right, and then ask them, where did you go wrong? Oh, my homeboy, or I seen this person outside and I wanted to be like him. And men admit this. So self-consciously, they know the decisions that they're making. And when they choose to want to be like homeboy on the corner, they choose these lifestyles when they know that they could get a trade. They would rather have fast money than smart money because they're in survival mode. Because, like you say, the girls are not doing this. The girls are not doing this. The girls are staying inside reading books on the internet. Those young men don't have to be in gangs. They can stay in the house and play video games all day. They're choosing these lifestyles, thinking they're going to get validation from other men. And that's the bad part. That's the worst of the part. And then other men enable them even more by telling them, giving them bad advice. A lot of older men fail younger men to influence them into more degeneracy, to live out the dreams that they never could. Because wigs, and lashes ain't killing nobody. They're not. It's not unaliving nobody. You can take that off at the end of the day.
All right, Ryan. I just wanted to say real quick, that I think something that the Black community has got to stop doing is got to stop romanticizing a two-parent household and acting like just because someone grows up in a two-parent household that means that everything is absolute pure perfection. The relationship between the father and the mother is great. I was raised with both of my parents who were married, my mother and my father. I'm the only child. And, I really want y'all to understand that this glorification that y'all have, that everything goes perfect. My father was not a criminal. He went to college educated. My mother as well. My father was in the Black Student Union. My father never been arrested, never been in no type of trouble or problems at all. I never grew up in the hood at all. Never was there. That's not a lifestyle that I can relate to. My parents were well off. I grew up in the suburbs. And I really need y'all to understand something. Y'all got to stop this whole glorification and making it like just because a Black man is raised by a single mother, that means he's going to be a total psychopath. Or just because the daddy is around, that everything is going to be great. It's not. People are people, and people respond to different stimuli different ways. Just like what Orion was saying, that somebody can be that peer pressure, the environment, things that their peers do can affect them way more than the words that their parents had to say. If you think about when you were in school or when you were a teenager, what did you really listen to everything that your parents said, or did you do other things, or did you do missteps, or whatever the case may be? Y'all gotta stop doing that. It's literally insane to do that. And the only reason why y'all do that is to make excuses and to rationalize away the behavior of Black men. And just like somebody in the comments said, well, Black girls weren't at home reading just books or whatever. You can say whatever Black girls you think they were doing. You can say you think they were twerking. You can say you think they were thotting and bopping. You can say whatever you think that they were doing. But I can tell you statistically one thing they weren't doing, and that's running down on men with their daughters at a car wash unaliving them, or going somewhere and carjacking people, or doing all of these other insane behaviors. They weren't doing that. So what are we really talking about here? But like I said, we got to stop this whole glorifying. And this is coming from somebody who was raised by both of my parents who are married. So y'all got to stop the games here. For real, for real. Stop it. For real. And I can tell that half of y'all that say these things, y'all ain't have a two-parent household. Because if you did, you would know that that's not something to glorify at all. So that's how I know y'all speaking on something that y'all don't know nothing about. But I'm telling you, I know something about it. Just like I said, somebody in the comments, man, talking about she was raised in a two-parent household and it wasn't perfect. Exactly. Y'all gotta get real. Y'all gotta get real for real. But let me go down here to Lo. He's been very patient. I'll give you 2.5 minutes to speak uninterrupted, Lo, since I took so long. Sorry about that. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. First off, I would like to recommend a website. It's not mine at all. It's called African American Images. Has a lot of great books on how to raise young black boys. Um, a lot of great books, and the few I recommend is Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. It's a 4-part book. Coming of Age, and one that's called To Be Popular or To Be Smart. And it attacks all of these things that guys want to be athletes, or guys want to be in the streets, or guys want to be popular, so they are influenced by their peers. And understanding that their peers will have more of an input on their lives at a certain point than you will. So you need to understand your children's friend group and the people that they're growing up around, and the people that are in their school, and keep your um, ear to what's going on in their generation as well. Um, Secondly, black men, we do have to step up and stop doing all this killing and things like that. Um, Everyone is at fault. I'm not here to point blame. I always come on these lives to try to promote solutions or promote some type of reading that can help. Um, a single parent household will not destroy your kid. A 2-parent household will not destroy your kid, or 100% make a kid better. Um, I know on the topic of like 50-50 and people making money has muddied the water of how you can come together, whether you're in the household or not in the household, to help raise a child and try to steer them in the best direction as possible. But I do feel like kids need to see men doing things in the house. Men need to help their children learn how to read as well as the mom, so that, oh, my dad can read, my dad helped me read, my dad helped me go to school, so now it's cool because you see men doing it.
Okay, Lo,
Um,
let me interject there, sir. I just want to ask you a question. You
yes.
said that everyone is at fault, right? Do you mean like in situations like this, like where there are black men engaging in violence against one another? Is that what you're saying? Like the violence in the black community, that
Oh
like
no,
we're both at fault?
if a black man is going to kill a black man, then black men are at fault. Women are not involved in that situation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I understood what you were saying. You got another 30 seconds, Lo, if you had something else to say.
Yeah, it's just about accountability and learning, and promoting that education and promoting that. But working in the school system, I see kids from the suburbs of all different races for some reason gravitating to that, I guess, savage mentality to go out here and do these things. And some of the girls are like, they're loving it, they're glorifying it too. And
The
it's,
girls, you say?
yes, like they
Okay,
got
so
group
this is
chats and all this stuff going
yeah,
on
so
in the
that's where
school.
I'm
It's crazy.
confused, right? I'm confused when you say that, and I'll tell you why. Because black men created the art form of violence to music. They started the gangster rap, drill rap, all of that. They did, and they spent all several decades brainwashing not only black men that the idea of a cool black man, romanticizing violence, romanticizing crime, romanticizing disrespect against black women, telling black women that they were only good for what's beneath their legs or what's, excuse me, in between their legs, and all of these other things. Like when people blame, society, the white tea man, music, and all of these things for the behaviors of black men, then why wouldn't you think that the same thing, this glorification of a certain type of man and making a man that caters to you, or he's educated, or he's a nerd, that he's weak, he's a simp, he's a punk, why wouldn't you think that also would brainwash black women or black girls into thinking that a certain type of man that may be a bad man is the one to is the way to be? Because
Oh, I
the
never
genre and
disagreed.
brainwashing that black men put forth not only to each other but also to the women in our community.
Oh, I never disagree. And what's crazy, rap didn't start off as that type of art form,
I know.
but it developed into it. And the situations that we're dealing with is just the situation that we're dealing with. Now, yeah, it's Batman's fault for promoting it, but now we're seeing everybody for some reason, like I said, in all races and all genders are trying to live up to it and promote it. You know, regardless of the origin of it. We have a lot of people gravitating to it and glorifying it, and we just need to try to reverse this.
Okay.
But someone else can go.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, and I just wanted to respond to. I think her name was Mal in the comments who was talking about like two-parent households. I just want to say real quick, nobody is saying that two-parent households aren't ideal. I think that I really believe that children benefit from having the energy of a man and a woman present. I think that if you have a daughter, it's good for her to see how a man treats a woman properly if you are in a healthy two-parent household. Like the man is working, he's doing what he needs to do, he's a provider, he's a protector, y'all not arguing, fighting, he's not knocking your head between the washer and dryer, then absolutely that would be the ideal dynamic for parenting, where your children can see what they should be striving for when they get to be old and is of age if they choose to be partnered up. However, unfortunately, a lot of times people are in two-parent households and that's not going on. Things that are unhealthy are going on. There's arguing, there's fighting, the dad is cheating and not coming home, and the mother is unhappy, and all of these other things, or the mother is setting a poor example for her daughter because when you're in a black household, the majority of black women are either breadwinners or co-breadwinners. So she's breaking her back, cleaning, cooking, working, doing all of these things. So the black girl gets used to feeling like it's her duty as a black woman to do everything. And the black man just gets to do not that much. So what I'm saying is that a two-parent household is only ideal if the situation is a happy, healthy environment. And we automatically dismiss a single parent, a single mother as an unhealthy environment. And that is not always the case. I would venture to say most of the time it's not the case. So that's all I'm trying to say. So we got to stop trying to demonize single mother households, and also we always do that, and in order to shift blame from the black man and his decisions to someone else. And that type of coddling and that type of enabling is the reason why black men are at the bottom of all statistics and always will be, because of that type of behavior. But anyway, let me keep going. Go ahead, Danny. Go ahead, Danny.
Yes, you call me Danny. How y'all doing?
Hey.
So, I had wrote down a few notes because, like, literally my memory is a little tapped. But, but I wanted to say, like, every time I hear conversations like this, I realize that the problem I normally have with it is that sometimes a mentality of a type of people, meaning like a mentality, of a person or a group of people, meaning like they put like there's a group of single mothers who do enable their sons' bad behavior, but there's also a group of single mothers who do really, really well raising their sons to be gentlemen. I feel like that it's too much mentality being taken on, oh, okay, well, if this is a group of single mothers who raise mama's boys to be like this, then they put it all over the whole group of single women. And that's just not the case. That's even like with black men. There are good black fathers out there. That's not to say that there are a whole lot of black men out there who doing a whole lot of riffraff, unaliving each other and degrading black women. There is a group of black men who do that. The issue I have with it a lot is because it's painted over the entire thing, and it's like, no, everybody's not like there. There's this group over here, group A, B, C. These are the categories within there. Just like with any other nation of people, there's also groups that classify certain types of YT people who do this and who don't do that. And I feel like it takes away the credibility of single mothers or single mothers, specifically talking, who actually do a good job at raising their children. Now, like you were saying, you mentioned how that ideally what an ideal two-parent household should be, that where it could be beneficial. I mean, I lost my dad when I was 9, but from the time I remember he was there before he passed away, um he was a good dad, but him and my mom clashed a lot with their, their compatibility was, 50-50. Like their compatibility was there, but then it wasn't. So I grew up seeing my mom and dad argue a lot and do this, and it was opposing mentalities when it came to the way my mom was raising my sister. My mom was trying to raise my sister to feel bad about her skin complexion and her features, whereas my dad was like, no, you're a queen, you're this, you're that. So it's like, regardless of if you have a two-parent household, what type of mentalities are we talking about when it comes to a two-parent household, instead of trying to glorify just this one thing, instead of acknowledging that these are mentalities that dwell in the Black community that either has a benefit or a disadvantage to the upbringing of children. I don't know if my 2 minutes was up or not, but I didn't want to go over that time.
You can finish your thought. I'll give you another 60 seconds if you want to
Okay.
wrap it up.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like overstepping or
Oh,
anything.
no problem. No problem, sis.
So, even when it comes to like my son's father, he honestly, he was very privileged. You get what I'm saying? A lot of things, he was like the golden child or whatever like that. But because his parents gave him the slap on the wrist, out of all of the his six other siblings, when he, they didn't make him take accountability for certain things. And so now he grew up, he got out into the street. He didn't have to be like that. He didn't grow up poor or anything like that. But because he had parents with mentalities who did not enforce accountability, now he has had to experience the street lifestyle, because that's where they put him, by not allowing him to, by not making him take accountability. Now, as a single mom of 2 boys, I'm watching all of this and I'm like, oh, okay, now I see what to do and what not to do. And I see where the issues are when it comes to raising Black boys. Now, on the other hand, you have men blaming women, single moms, for, having a hard time with raising their kids and stuff like that. And the reality of it across the board is that none of us was put here to do anything by ourselves. So if a single parent is having a tough time raising a child because they don't have all the answers, that is actually a logical thing for them to have a hard time, because they weren't supposed to be doing it by themselves in the first place. From the moment that child was conceived, or from the moment that a man and a woman came together, whether it was just for sex or for marriage or whatever, SMEX or whatever like that, it's because we weren't supposed to be doing it by ourselves. Nobody actually came into this world by themselves. Even if you were just one womb and you didn't have a twin, you still had your mother there when you were born. Even if there was no doctors around, fathers, siblings, whatever like that, you still had someone there. So at the end of the day, for one blame to be placed on a single mother, or even for it to be blamed on Black men, there's a whole Willie Lynch syndrome behind that. But at the end of the day, it's like, yes, those things happen, but it's our responsibility to take accountability for how we can change it. So at the end of the day, none of us were supposed to be doing this by ourselves anyway. So yes, we're going to have hiccups. We're going to have things that happen because we weren't designed to do this by ourselves. It's just that we had to learn to adapt, because there's mentalities that break the structure of what can actually help us thrive. Okay. So with that being said, sorry, I probably went over my 60 seconds, but yep, that's it.
Okay, all right. I got you, Danny. All right, I'm gonna go up here to Dark Truth, and then I'll go down here to Super Villain, and then I'll restart everybody back, for everybody speaking. Well, I think after I do Dark Truth, Super Villain, then it'll be Mecca, and then T. Cause I know T wanted to speak, but I gotta go back in order. Go ahead, Danny. I mean Dark Truth. Sorry, Dark Truth. If you had something to say, babe, I don't know if you did.
I'm busy right now, so I can't really.
Oh, okay. I got you. Uh, that's my husband, y'all. Like, just so that y'all know. I don't want y'all think I'm a weirdo calling a person up here, babe. All right. Yes, and T Scorpio made a good point where she said Willie Lynch is not real. It is not real. It's already been debunked. The letter is not real. It is fake. I don't know why more Black people don't know that, T. I'm not for sure. But very concerning sometimes. Go ahead, supervillain.
Hey Trey,
Hey.
What's up, T? I just came up to give my point of view. I like where the conversation was going, and the unique thing about TikTok is that everyone has somewhat of a different story and a similar story, even though we're all from different walks of life. I want to say I was raised in a quote unquote two family household. However, my mother figure was my stepmother. They fought all the time. I have like 8 siblings. Even though my childhood was happy, I can say seeing them fight all the time was a terrible thing, and I hated it. They still fight, and we still telling them to get a divorce, even though I'm in my 30s. And I'm gonna say I raised my daughter as a single parent, and I'm gonna tell you right now, my daughter is who I want to be when I grow up. She's had the life experience of traveling, fine dining, all these things. She's done a whole lot more than most adults on this panel have done. I'm just going to be honest. More than me at her age. I know because I'm there with her. I would say it really is about how you love your child. Now, surroundings is very important. Again, I didn't grow up in the hood. I grew up in the suburbs. However, because I was a young single mom, I raised my daughter in the hood. That's what I could afford at the time. And my daughter was still sheltered. I was a stay at home mom for 10 years because I had a business, a daycare, and I was able to be a stay at home mom where other parents or other people weren't able to have that opportunity with their parent. And I was able to do that in the hood and still, keep her sheltered. Now, I'm not going to lie, she's in high school now, and I had to move so she can have better opportunity. So I'm not going to say that doesn't come into play. But it just needs to be acknowledged that as long as you do what you need to for your child and you're loving, no matter the family dynamic, because it could be two parent, it could be same sex parent, it could be grandparents, it could be you being raised by your older sister. There are a lot of different families. It's 2025 and we need to acknowledge that. I know everybody wants to root for the nuclear family, and if that's something you can do, that's great. But I hate the word broken homes because, again, families come in all different shapes and sizes, and you can have two parents, and somebody who raised by their older brother is more loved than you were, based on the circumstance. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Another thing I just want to say specifically to the topic. Um, to me, Trig, this is one of the questions when I hear a lot of things like when black men aren't fall short, and they like to say who were they raised by, or that whole single mothers raised what do you call it, criminals, or 70% of the people in jail. My thing is, Trig, let me know if you've seen this, but are these single mothers out in the street with their sons knocking over liquor stores and pew pew in the playground? Like, I'm confused when they blame single mothers. You obviously know it's the environment and the other men in their lives contributing to why they are in these situations. When they blame single moms, I just think, so it's the single moms going around knocking over liquor stores with their sons and robbing people? Like, I don't get it when they say that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody can answer that question, if anyone has seen their a single mom robbing any place or doing any criminal activity with their child, please let me know, because I've never seen it. And I lived in one of the grimiest places in Queens, New York. I yield there, Trey.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. Okay, sis. I actually am gonna go down here to T so that she can get a chance to speak, and then I'm gonna go up to Maya because she just came up. We were having a conversation in the chat, and then I'll go up here to you, Mecca. Sorry about that. Go ahead, T.
So funny. As soon as you say, yeah, it's gonna be teas next, my baby starts saying, yo. Listen, he's gonna let his voice be heard. Anyway, anyway, like, yeah, the piggyback was super villain. Yeah, it's different type of family dynamics that we do have to acknowledge, and then we do have to take into consideration. Like me personally, I believe it takes a village, because I have a village. I got 4 sisters. And plus I do have a husband. So the way I'm looking at it, my son is being raised basically almost in a 6-parent household, because my sisters are his other mothers. And, I got my husband in his life. Like, I would consider him to be a good male figure in his life that displayed healthy masculinity. Yes, I would honestly say that. And that's the part where I feel that when they do want to include women, they one of the things that we also should acknowledge is that this was being like a thug, being like a pimp, being a player. That's supposed to be the men displaying masculinity. And then plus we were told that in order for you to raise an effective son, he has to be raised by a man to keep by a man so he can basically be hetero. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm gonna put that out there. All of this about, like, having a man and like a woman cannot raise a boy. What they're basically saying is that a woman cannot raise a hetero masculine boy. That is what they are saying to us. They feel that if they see a mother raising her son and it just so happened that he's G, they say that she failed him. No matter how successful that little boy it had became, even though he's a G man, he can have 10 degrees, make $1 billion. He never hurt anybody, never broken the law. They will still say that she failed him because he's G. And that's part of the robophobic that's in our community as well. Now if you don't want that's something that black people feel like that's something that they can control, that's something that they can help. So when we have these discussions about having men in the household, that's really what they are saying. What they are saying is that your son is going to be a punk, your son is going to be soft, your son is going to be feminine, all of those things. That is what they are trying to say. And of course, being that we got social media, we got television, and they are looking at this and they are looking at these toxic displays, these displays of toxic masculinity, and then still turn around and blame the mothers, but like blaming them. I'm sorry, just got a little distracted, and still blaming the mothers. So and the last I checked, according to the CDC report that black men have been throwing up on this app, according to the CDC, black fathers are the best fathers. So I'm confused. Is there a single mother epidemic, or is it not? Because how can we come up with that study that was taking place from the year 2006 to the year 2010, because that was the years that study was conducted, but yet sit here and say that it is these men was raised by single mothers when it is recorded, according to the CDC, that they are in the homes. No, 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 no. Now this is a fact, and one of the facts I'm also going to throw up in there.
30
The
seconds, please.
fathers, sure, thank you. The fathers were in the homes, but they did not legally marry the mother. That is how you get the number statistics of they are being raised in a single mother household, because they count marriage licenses. They count marriage certificates. And black men do not believe in legalized marriages. They do not believe in legal marriages. They believe in shacking up. They believe in domestic partnership. They believe in moving in with you, but they do not believe in legally marrying you. So when we say that it has no men in the household, that is a big, blatant lie. They were there.
All right. All right, T, I'm gonna go over here to Maya. And I was gonna go to Mecca next, but Danny said that she wanted to say something real quick, I guess, in response to you guys, and she was gonna drop. So I'll go Maya, Danny, and then Mecca. Go ahead, Maya.
Hello, host. Thanks for having me up. First,
No
I want to
problem.
say I think that we got a little we had a miscommunication in the chat. Firstly, I want to say I disagree that BLK women cannot raise successful BLK men. I do not agree with that under any circumstance. I do, however, think that a lot of people put BLK people in a mass majority, and that's not true. A lot of times I find when I'm going through these panels, because when I have free time, I run stores and things like that, I look on here because it gives me something to do. And I see that a lot of times you guys are talking to the hood demographic of BLK people, and everyone doesn't fit into that mass. Even when I think you see my comment when I responded to Superville, and she said, I'm pretty sure my daughter has done more than everyone on this panel. You do not speak for it. And no offense to her, I love the fact that you raised your daughter so beautifully. You spoke about her beautifully, but you don't know everyone on this panel. We all came from different worlds. So to say that is putting us all in a mass like, oh, most BLK people don't travel. I've been traveling out the country since I was 6 years old. So I just feel like we try to categorize all of us in one category, and it's not like that. As I was saying in the comments, I grew up in a 2-parent household. It was not hostile. To be honest with you guys, my dad was incarcerated for a while. He is the small percentage of BLK men that is a millionaire. And I'm saying that in a humble way because I know it is a very small percentage, but there are a lot of successful black men as well that may not be millionaires that do take care of their children and can guide them and love them properly. And the same with BLK women.
I think I'm not here to take away from what you're saying, like as far as like that there are different black people, we're not all a monolith. I definitely agree with that. I think I said earlier that I'm a black woman that was raised with both my parents who were married, and I was not in the hood. I was raised in the suburbs, that we were well off, all of that. So I don't know anything about hood life, but I do think that in our wanting to say that not all black people have certain experiences, we also have to look at the statistics, and we also have to look at the state of a lot of black people in America and what's going on. Black people are disadvantaged financially. Black people are disadvantaged educationally. Black people are disadvantaged in a lot of ways. The majority of black people, it is more the exception to have a black father that is a multimillionaire. And to speak about it in a generality when the general population is not having that experience, I don't think it's wrong to do that, because the majority of black people are not having the experiences that you're having, or that I'm having, or even Supervillain is having, that's able to provide her daughter with a lot of the finer things in life, so to speak. And even within all of that, what we're talking about here in the problems in the black community, black men running down on other black men and unaliving them, unaliving kids, and the criminality, a lot of time that speaks to the demographic of what we're speaking about, that you may not be able to understand because you may not relate, because it's not your experience, unless your father, told you about his lifestyle before previous, that caused him to be incarcerated. So I think that when we make it like, oh, well, no, that all black people are not like that, all black men are not like that, when you focus in on the minority as opposed to the majority, then that is a problem, because that allows black men to escape accountability for what's happening in the community by saying, well, it's not all of us. They can say that, so me and them say that on my lives, and they're part of the majority that I'm talking about.
So
They'll
your
say not
trigger,
all
you
black men, and they'll have a rapper on their profile. I'll click on their page, and they got all of these people engaged in illegal activities and pews and all of these things. So it's like, if you allow black men, the collective, of course, this does not mean all black men, but if you allow the collective of black men an out, they will definitely take that out, and you will never get any type of healing or any type of improvement in the black community. And that's exactly why we don't have any improvement right now, why things are worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Before, they weren't even attacking the kids. They weren't even willing to do that. I've heard of 3 stories this week of black men running down on other black men, and not only aliving the black men, but the children that they were with. And that will continue to get worse and worse and worse, because we still want to hide behind some type of version of fairness and allow them to escape accountability for what's occurring. The coddling is not working for them, and it never will. A black man that's going to be educated and intelligent and have a business and be educated, he will be educated no matter what. You don't need to coddle him. The ones that need the tough love are the ones that need it, and coddling is not going to help them, respectfully. But you can go ahead and respond to that if you want, Maya, and then I'm going to go over here to Mecca.
I'm going to let you go ahead and go to them, but I did have a question. And if you have a source, I would like to look more into it, because maybe I'm misinformed. Do you think that most BLK people live in the hood? And is it a source that says that?
I'm not speaking about like black people and where they live at. What I'm saying is financially, the numbers are not in our favor. Black men are the least earning male, depending on where you look, or sometimes Hispanics will be at the bottom. It just depends. So when you talk about it, it's like when black men that are in their 20s and 30s, the baseline, if I'm not mistaken, for income is like 30 something K. Y'all can fact check me with that. I can't quite remember, but I know that when black men get into their 40s and 50s, their higher up salaries is like $40,000, 45,000, which is still not a lot. So if you look at salaries and you say, a person isn't getting that much money to survive, and we know how much everything is, where would these people be living? They definitely wouldn't be living in any type of affluent area if they're barely making enough to survive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if the hood, the rent is $500, but and you only making 30K a year, but these affluent areas, the rent is 3K, 4K, and up, then I think it's only, intelligent, or, it's only common sense, excuse me, to figure out where these people are living. You get what I'm saying? But I don't live in the hood. I never have. So I'm not saying that this is the reality for every black person, but I do know that it is a reality for a lot. But let me go up here to Mecca. Sorry, you waited so long so patiently, Mecca. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Mecca, and then I'll go to Bear. I'm gonna send you a request to turn your mic on, Mecca, just in case you can't. Um, but if you're not there, I'll definitely
Yeah,
allow
no,
you
the
to.
app was good.
Oh, snap. Mecca dropped. I think it was a mistake for her to drop. So Mecca, because I didn't drop her. Um, come back, Mecca, if you can, and I'll let you speak right away. But I'll go down here to Danny real quick. Sorry, because Danny said that she was gonna say something and she was gonna drop. And then I'll go to Bear. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of like give some food for thought. So earlier when I was talking, I mentioned the Willie Lynch, and I know that a lot of people were saying that it was debunked, which I've heard that. So I don't know who debunked it, and I don't really believe what people say. What I normally do is look at the results of what is being said and what has been said, because like, how did we get here? Meaning, how did we get to this point? How did the influences in a lot of the black communities get to where they are? Whether or not it was one person or a group of people who conspired and created that, I see that we're living the results of the tactics used inside of those letters. So I don't care who debunked it. I'm looking at, okay, if they say that this, that, and the third, how does this correlate to this? What makes it factual? And from my observation, and from, I mean, generally, and what a lot of us are saying, we're here because the effects of tactics that was used on us during slavery. Not to say that, oh, we go to blame the white man, because ain't nothing, I mean, the white T man, ain't nothing we could do about that. All we can do is about now. But what are the results? Are we living the results of the tactics mentioned in in those letters, in whatever the conspiracy was? Are we living the results of that? So I just wanted to drop that food for thought. I am gonna go. I do appreciate you guys for opening up this panel, and I love this conversation because everybody's like, sharing their thoughts and everything like that, and I would
Uh,
definitely be following
yes,
and
Danny.
joining another time.
I definitely appreciate you. I just wanted to say in response to Willie Lynch, it's easy to see the problems that are happening in the black community and then make a letter about what you see in hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that there aren't some things that are accurate that depict the black community, but it's easy to do that when you're able to look back and see what's going on currently. So I think that that's probably where you find the accuracy to it. But yeah, it's
Right.
definitely not a real letter. My
Okay.
husband
Well,
wanted to quickly respond to you. But you can drop it if
No,
you want to. Did you have something to tell her
I'm
about
really,
Willie Lynch?
yeah, I
I'm
was just
really
going to say the same thing that you said, that the tactics that you're talking about are things that were written after the fact. It's like people just came up with a way to explain things that happened within the black community, and they fabricated all of these tactics, as you say. So they weren't tactics used to make people like that. It was how the community ended up, and they just kind of reverse engineered it into a letter to make it seem like these are what the tactics were to get to this result, when we were already at this result, and they just came up with a list of tactics of how we have
oh
gotten there. That's why it's like it's a document that was written not like recently, but I think like within the 20th century. from the
Okay.
research that I got. So it's not an old, super old letter that was back then in slavery. It was something that was written way after all of that, that
Okay.
somebody reverse engineered it with. So
Okay.
that's why
So,
it seems so. That's why it
well,
seems so accurate and close to what you see today.
well, I understand that, but the fact still stands. Is almost to say like slavery didn't happen and all those things didn't happen. And so even if somebody did take it, well, that's what I said, whether it was written by a group of people or one person, whatever the facts are, the fact of the matter is the reason why there's accuracies in it is because yes, the trickle effect was explained. So there's like, okay, how did we get here? This is what happened. This is what happened. I mean, a lot of times if you don't know why something is, you really can't fix it. So we can
Yeah,
choose to either
but what I'm
ignore that.
saying is, how we got there was made up. It wasn't how we got there. That was just
Also,
made up.
slavery never happened or nothing like that. None of
No,
that stuff ever
no,
happened.
it's not. It's not talking about whether or not slavery happened.
Well, that's why I'm
It's
asking
the
because I thought it was
no,
based off of what happened in slavery.
no, it's the tactics that they're talking about, like the whole thing of how they say and how they were supposed to make the slave or the perfect Negro and stuff. These are things they did it just through the sheer violence. Violence is the main thing that kept people in line. The threat of dying, of losing your life, that's the main thing. There were plenty of revolutions and things that happened during the time of slavery that most people don't even talk about, most people don't even mention, most people don't even know. So it was never this perfect society of people just being docile. They used violence in order to keep people docile. They split people apart so that you couldn't communicate with your fellow person, so that you couldn't get cause revolts. But that still was some of the things that happened. There was one revolt that
Right.
happened that they ended up getting the United States government to come down and corral all the slaves back together again. I think it happened in like Louisiana or something like that. So what I'm saying is, no one is saying that slavery didn't happen. What we were saying is that the tactics that were used to keep people in line was just pure violence. I mean, pure
Right.
violence. That's all it was. Hanging, lynching, all of those things, pure
Right.
violence. It wasn't this mental manipulation that they're trying to make it seem like it was, because a lot of them weren't mentally manipulated like that. A lot of them did things in order to survive and get away from the violent aspect of death. And that's if you really look at all of it, that's what kept everybody alive. A lot of people like to think it was them using the Bible. It wasn't them using the Bible, because a lot of the people that revolted knew the Bible and they still revolted
Hmm.
anyways. So
Right.
it had a lot to do with the pure violent aspect of it. The whole Willie Lynch is trying to give you this whole mental manipulation as if they were somehow wiser and smarter than us to trick us into doing these things. And that was never the case. Black people always revolted. We always stood strong. We always fought against those things, those oppressions and things like that.
All right. Did you have anything to say, Danny? I'm
When
gonna
it
go to
comes to the
Supervillain.
letter
Um,
being
um, yeah,
go
I
ahead.
mean, I don't have all the time, but I would like to chime back in on the conversation. Like I said, I look at what connects to what, and if the results are what they are, then that's what it is. Whether somebody gathered information and put it together, is still we're still living it. Not to say that it's an excuse for the change not to happen, but like I said, it's just like when you go to the doctor and you try to figure out what's wrong with your body. We figure out, okay, how did you get here? Now let's find a solution. So that's really all I'm saying, when it comes to that. So it is a lot of mind manipulation because it happens right now in households. It happens right now with the government. It happens all the time. It's psychology behind tactics used. It's psychology behind all of it. But I'm gonna chime back in another time. Hopefully I get to talk to you guys again a little longer. But y'all have a good day, and thank you so much for opening this space.
No
Just
problem.
real quick, just says before you go, look up the religious instruction of the NIG. I can't say the word. The religious instructions of the NIG. That is the source of the Willie Lynch letter.
Okay. All
I
right.
would
Thank you so
also
much,
I
C.
would also look up Black necropolitics.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'll
Okay.
definitely look into that.
Okay, you guys. All right, I'm gonna go here to I think it was it Supervillain or was it Bear? It was Bear next. Sorry, go ahead, Bear, and then
It's
Supervillain.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, I enjoy the conversation. Also, thank you for letting me speak. For TikTok purposes, I am 28. So I am of legal age. Um, in terms of the discussion, yeah, Willie Lynch letter, that was interesting. Um, Uh, yeah, I can just go through the prompt. Why is it that when something positive, black men stand alone? Because well, I'll just kind of sum all this up, all of the prompt up in particular. Um, People who do not sit at an intersection are not going to think intersectionally. Simple. So Black women are sitting at two intersections, or those who are cis and straight and able-bodied are sitting at two intersections, right? The more intersections you sit at, the more lenses of life that you're kind of looking through marginalization. And I think one of the things that is extremely unfortunate when we center people who aren't sitting at intersections, right? Um, is that the conversation around like the black struggle or like things that the black community experiences is already narrowed, and it's only looked through through the lens of like class, or through just the very surface layered of race, right, rather than the intersection of like misogynoir or anti-queerness, ableism, right, things along those lines. And so it's really unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate. I think that as we're continuing to have discussions, community discussions, we need to make sure that everyone, including people who are sitting at intersections, are at the table, right? One of the things, I can't remember, I don't know if it was Supervillain who said it or someone else who said it, around um, yeah, I don't know exactly who said it, but there was something that kind of stuck out around this idea that black women, or this notion that black women can't raise a healthy black man, and if that child grows up to be a GAY adult, right, can be successful monetarily, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it's still looking like a failure because that child is queer, right? That's something that we see very often. Something that we see very often, especially even with disabled black children, and how even disabled black children don't even get the proper care or the proper attention. It's oftentimes just seen as I don't know if it's necessarily around maybe like self pride, that we as like a black community, we're not allowed to sit at any other intersection because then there's an interference, or a derailment of black liberation, which I find to be absolute bullshit. um and yeah, I think that's kind of just where I'm at right now with the
Okay.
conversation from what I just heard.
All right. I'm gonna go down here to supervillain, and then after you say something, I want to respond to the ladies that were in here. I think it was Danny and I think it was Maya, because I forgot to say something about what they said. But go ahead, supervillain.
Craig, you know I'm always gonna yield to you. You go first. You got to do some housekeeping. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just wanted to say, in my opinion, now I don't know if this was their intention or not. I think it was another lady that was up here as well. I think it was Mecca. I think it was Mecca, Maya, and Danny. In my opinion, I feel like I maybe they're not aware, or maybe they are aware, but I do feel like um the thought processes and some of the things that they were saying, and enables coddling in the black community, and enables black men and out for the decisions that they make, the choices they make, the actions that they decide to enable. Because if you talk about Willie Lynch, which and you talk about it as if it's factual, even though it's been debunked, and then you still want to argue the position of it being real when it's clearly not a real letter, which is literally insane. I mean, it's written, even the way, the tone that it's written in, you can tell that it's a fictional letter. But I digress on that. But when you make it like, oh, it's the white T man, it's what they put in us through this Willie Lynch is the reason why, black men are acting out and running down on, men with their children and putting them in the dirt, or this is the reason why they're out here, carjacking people, or the reason why, black women make up 60% of all the unalivings of women. in the United States, even though we're only 10% of the female population. I think that what that does is it's very disingenuous, and you do a disservice to not only black women yourself, but you also do a disservice to the black community. And you wonder why things continue to get worse and worse and worse. Like I said earlier, before you didn't really hear about the men in the community, even the ones that were of a criminal mindset, having no problems putting young children, babies in the dirt. They weren't doing that. But because black women refuse to stop giving black men an out for their behavior, instead of giving them, no out, saying, hey, no, it's not your mama. It's not the white man. It is you and the choices that you decide to make. Nobody made you pull that pew pew and do that but you. Nobody made you decide to glorify a criminal lifestyle other than you. Nobody did that. The older black men that are preying on younger black men or young black boys in order to tell them that a criminal lifestyle is the way to go, there is no one else to blame other than the culture of the black community that black men themselves have curated. They have made everything that is criminal to be strong and wrapped in strength and masculinity. And that thought process is even rubbed off on women that believe that they want a thug or they want some type of criminal element to a man for him to be a real man. So at what point do we actually say, hey, no, it's nobody to blame but you? And I feel like when women come up and do these throw offs, it really makes me upset because there would be no type of behavior in allowing you to get away with that. When a young black girl, let's just say a black girl has 3 different baby daddies and 5 kids, or she's out there, having casual intercourse, or she's twerking, or she's dressed a certain type of way. Nobody tells them that Willie Lynch is the reason why black women don't have any respect or value, or they present themselves a certain way because the white T man has devalued them, or over actualized them, or made them hyper actual, or the fact that black men always have hyper actualized black women in the media, in the music, in the movies, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody gives black women an out for that. Nobody does. Nobody says, oh, yeah, that young black girl, she's doing this, that, and the third. Or even when people talk about shocker, these wigs and weaves, nobody says, oh, my goodness, maybe our sisters feel more comfortable in wigs and weaves or this or that because, we have always glorified non-black women and put them on a pedestal and say, what are you mixed with or this or that, or made it seem like these other women, the way they look is way more beautiful. So black women try to do this and that, even though I don't even believe that's the thought process behind the majority of black women that wear wigs and weaves. I think that we just like to switch up our style like everyone else. But what I'm saying is just if we use those thought processes, there are no excuses for black women when we do anything. Nobody's saying nothing about single mothers. Oh, she couldn't help it. Oh, she was looking for love because the white society, it talks about the black woman, dehumanizes the black woman, makes the black woman seem as if she's not even anything or worth any value. Nobody does that. So I have no idea why constantly I see black women give black men a grace that they never extend to us. Ever. They never do these things. Literally never. So I don't understand what's going on and why black women continuously do that. It really makes me upset and angry to see it.
Can I say something also with that?
Yes, yeah, go ahead, babe.
Because when they, I hate it when people bring it up because it also makes it seem like black people are uniquely criminal. Like there's no criminal element in no other race, or no debauchery or degeneracy in no other race but black people. And to say that it has something to do with the Willie Lynch letter and all whatever it was that she was saying, it gives it that feeling that we are the only ones who do these things as far as killing each other. Any type of bad behavior only comes uniquely from the black community, then that's not true. Because what is the reason as to why white people kill each other? What is the reason why white women are like prominent in the porn industry and things like that? What are those reasons? Because they don't fall back on a letter to say that someone manipulated them into doing these things or being this type of thing. Like we at an age, it's 2025, where we all know that criminal behavior is wrong, that murder is wrong, that all of these things shouldn't be done. Um, Yet we still want to give these excuses as to why people do it, as if they don't have a choice in the matter or they don't have a mind to think for themselves. The majority of them do. They just don't care. They just wild out here in these streets, and that goes for anyone that wants to commit these type of crimes. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to say also real quick, that it's accused that the things that I just say are just opinion based. The things that I say are not just opinion based. They're not. They're actually rooted in facts and rooted in reality. Like, it is a fact that black women are the most unalived race of women. And 9 times out of 10, sometimes 10 times out of 10, depending on where you are, that when the black woman is being unalived, it is at the hands of a black man. That's a fact. It's also a fact that black men unalive each other the most. That's a fact. I say this all the time, the health providers would like to call it an epidemic. That's a fact. Black people are the only people that created a genre of music, black men specifically, that is rooted in talking about unaliving someone that looks like them, or degrading the women in their community and making it seem like they're 304s and have no worth or value. Those are facts. The fact that the single mother is demonized in the black community, but no one very rarely talks about absent fathers and the effect that they have on the children that they have left behind, that is a fact. That is not my opinion. These things are going on in the black community. And I think a lot of times what we like to do is just try to say, oh, it's an opinion. It's opinion. That's just how you feel, when actually it's reality. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not to say that white tea people and other races of people don't do horrific things to their own. White tea men molest and essay their children the most. Their own children and also other people. They also grape the most. Those are facts. Okay? I'm not saying that they're perfect either. They are involved in some sick, freaky, weird stuff. I'm not saying that they're not. But I don't care about them, do you? So I'm talking about the state of the black community. But yes, absolutely, white tea people, Hispanic people. If you ever go in any threads, which I do, when other women complain about their men, Hispanic women talk about the fact that there are some type of freaky incestual things going on. It's a culture over there. Excuse me, respectfully with them, I won't speak on it a lot. I've just seen a lot of Hispanic women talk about it. I've seen a lot of Hispanic women say that they don't want to get married because, it's very misogynistic over there and they don't want to be treated like that. I see a lot of Indian women talk about the culture of abuse and degradation and dehumanization of women in general. Asians as well, them beating the brakes off of their women and trying. I understand that there are a lot of problems everywhere in all these different races. But what I'm saying right now is I'm speaking about the black community because I'm a black person. So what do I look like sitting there breaking down the stats and how white tea people's crimes affect them, or how Asian people's crimes affect them, and how they are very patriarchal there and the women are unhappy? Which is the reason why, Korean women started the 4B movement, because they don't want nothing to do with the men there because of how disgusting they're treating them. So I'm not here to talk about other people, but I'm not here to deflect and coddle black men either and act like they're not doing something that they're doing and that is rare. Because then a lot of black women will come up here and act like it's a rarity. Oh, it's not happening that much. Well, then how come all of these black women always got all these stories to tell then? Huh? If it's just a rare amount of black men. Anyway, let me just keep going. Go ahead, supervillain. Sorry about that. Go ahead, supervillain.
Please don't apologize. That was a much needed message, honestly. So a lot has transpired. I'm gonna try to keep it cute and short. Um, Number one, just you know what? Let me start with this. Something like, y'all. Today is free pancakes at IHOP. If you are there at IHOP, black people get your reparations how you can. They are giving out free pancakes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So get your free pancakes. Number two, and you just so eloquently went into the whole Willie Lynch thing, so I'm not even gonna go there. I am going to say though, because unfortunately, white tea supremacy, chattel slavery has black women in a chokehold for empathy of black men. I want to, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, black men have betrayed black women before white tea supremacy was a thing. If you want to look up some information, you can read about the 800-year occupation of southern Spain and the Iberian Peninsula. You can get some information there. This is a degeneracy that has been happening for eons. chattel slavery wasn't the first place. I just want to throw that out there. Number two, I hope that lady is still in the room, it seemed like I offended or didn't offend, I don't know. I want to say this. I would be a liar if I say I don't make generalizations. Trig knows me. I come up here every day, or at least every opportunity I get, and say it's all men for me. I don't believe in good men. So I'm definitely going to say I make generalizations. When it came to telling my story, I was just trying to point out the fact that no matter where you live, as long as the child is loved, the child can thrive. Again, I said just like Trig, I wasn't raised in the hood. I was raised in a suburb. I had three parents. One of them was a stepmother, all of them college educated, right? Lived in the suburbs. And my two parents fought all the time. They made us miserable. They still make us miserable. I'm 35 years old, and they're still making us miserable with their fighting. I tried to give the example that because I was a teen mom and all I could afford at that time was a hood apartment, I raised my daughter in the hood. I was able to build myself up, but because of the community and the camaraderie I found in the hood, even though I'm not gonna lie, it was dangerous, but I had a lot of camaraderie there. I opened a business and I was able to give my daughter the experience of a stay-at-home mom, which a lot of people don't have that experience, rich or poor, right? My whole point was to point out that no matter where you live, again, and also that there are different types of families. It's 2025. The nuclear family isn't the only family. That as long as that child is loved, you can give them a great experience. And when I said my daughter experienced a lot of things, you're right. I don't know what anyone has done on this panel. I know most adults that I run into, especially me as, again, somebody raised in a two-parent household and lived in a suburb, at the age my daughter has done the things, amount of fine dining, traveling, museums, Broadway shows, all this stuff. My daughter's been a all-star cheerleader for almost 7 years. I don't know if you know about the cheer world, but it's very expensive. She's done a lot of these things, being raised by her single mother, who's not a millionaire. I didn't get to do half the stuff my daughter did at her age. That was just my point. It wasn't to offend in any way, shape, or form. It was to give people clarification, or let people know that sometimes where you are, your circumstances doesn't gonna define your future. You can be from the hood. I'm not from the hood, but I raised my daughter in the hood. So I feel like I'm hood adjacent. My daughter's from the hood because she was raised in the hood. We don't live in the hood now, again, I said, because, she's in high school, and I gotta be real, the environment. High school's a different story from middle school and elementary school. I can't shelter her that much. She has a whole lot more independence. But I just wanted to make that point. I don't want to ramble. It's all about how you deal with your child. Again, you can be raised in a two-parent household, but somebody who lives in a hood, raised by their older sister or older brother, can be more loved and more sheltered and more cherished than you are. That was just the point. It wasn't, there's all different types of families. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Trey. I yield.
Oh, no problem, supervillain. I didn't take offense to what you said at all. I knew what you were saying. I didn't take offense to it at all. I knew exactly what you were saying. So, but yeah, let me not be messy. Let me
You be messy? I'll do it for you.
if you want to, go ahead.
Nah, I just felt like that was just on some troll shit. Like, come on, we all understood what she meant when she talks about her daughter all the time and what she is doing a wonderful job at, a beautiful job with her daughter. And no one even said anything about being poor, being raised in the hood, and like we already know there's such thing as rich black people. We already know there's such thing as upper middle class black people, middle class black people. Then there's poor. Then there's black people in poverty. Like, we already know these things. Like, that's just common sense. We already know it. And especially like coming up, running up, like, oh, you're not speaking for me. Like, wow. Like, I didn't know we can offend a millionaire. Let me know I can offend a millionaire. I didn't know the words of, working class people can make a millionaire pissed off. Like, that's new to me. Usually millionaires do not care about what the words of working class people gotta say. You know what I'm saying? So that part was hilarious to me. And listen, I'm not the one. Listen, if you got it, if you so-called got it, I love it, because a lot of people up on here cap anyways. Like, I'm not gonna praise your Pookie daddy. Whatever he did in jail to get put in jail and then come out and think he can redeem himself yourself by so-called making money. Like you cannot tell me you was raised good by a felon. I'm sorry, you can't, and it shows. So moving on.
Oh my goodness. You know what, T? I think that you made a good point with that. Because I don't know what this like air of privilege, now, I'm not even gonna say privilege. I think the air is not of privilege, but is of condescension and arrogance. I think that's what she is getting confused as to people. Nobody's jealous that you said that you were privileged or anything like that. Everybody's privileged online. Everybody's a multimillionaire online. Everybody is, of the best when you're able to just say what you want to say. And even if it was real and in reality, nobody cares about that. I just think it was the fact that you were trying to weaponize that against, the women that were on the panel, and then also use it in conjunction with coddling black men in some shape, form, or fashion. And I think that was weird. And I think that was a problem. And just like you said, you talk about you being privileged, and you talk about you had this great life that was not the statistical way that black people live, with you talking about your dad was in prison for several years. That is actually a walking stereotype that that so what are you talking about? Because
That's the
my
story of
daddy ain't
every
never been to
rapper.
jail.
That
My
story
daddy
of
ain't
every
never been to
rapper. I
jail.
went to jail, came out, now I'm making
Yeah,
all
like
this money.
that's
That's
weird.
the ultimate stereotype.
Yeah, that's very strange because my daddy has never been to jail. My daddy has never been arrested. My daddy never been to prison. My dad went to college and graduated and was on the Black Student Union fighting for black people's issues. So I don't know nothing about no hood life and visiting my daddy in no prison and put my hands up on the glass. I don't know nothing about that. So I don't think that it's cool for you to try to weaponize and say that people are jealous of you or whatever because you're privileged and your daddy was in the clinker. That's not me trying to be disrespectful. That is just me trying to say, like, you got to bring it down and live in reality a little bit. Cause nobody's being jealous of anything. You know what I'm saying? My daddy was at the house. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't locked up. You know what I'm saying? He was going to work and coming home. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I think that sometimes, though, I don't even really think it's her fault, respectfully. I think that sometimes black women, we are indoctrinated to defend and to protect and to coddle black men. And sometimes we do it even if we're unaware that that is what we are doing. And that is something that, if you're not aware of it, you have to check it. You have to figure out how you can deprogram yourself, because the things that you're doing when you do that, you have to understand that the collective of black men would never do it for you. Now, I'm not saying if you have a father or you have a brother or you have a man or you have men in your life that love and care for you, black men that love that, they may not, they may defend you and protect you and uplift you and do that. But the collective of black men are never going to do what you're doing for them right now on the live. And that's an unfortunate, situation, but it's the truth. But I don't mean it to, like I said, to degrade or to make fun of. All I'm saying is you can't tell me that you grew up differently and that all black people are not statistics or not monoliths when you actually have lived you have actually lived a monolithic life. You have lived a life full of statistics, because your daddy being in jail is, like I said earlier, the biggest statistic that you can have. And so you have to acknowledge that. But go ahead, T. Did you have something to say?
When I hear women say, like, men could be rehabilitated too, felons could be rehabilitated. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it a buck, and I'm gonna be extremely not ignorant. I'm gonna be very biased when I say no. There's no such thing as a real rehabilitated felon, in my opinion. Because if you really want to break down psychology, like the other woman was saying, what the Willie Lynch girl, I'm gonna call her the Willie Lynch girl. If you really want to break down psychology, men who have been incarcerated in prison for a certain amount of time, they have to go through series of therapy. Because if you've been in prison more than 2 years protecting your booty hole, and if I'm looking at her age, and if she's somewhere in her 20s, that means most likely he went in there in the 80s or in the 90s, where when you had that booty warrior running around in the prison. So to be in that situation, in that mindset, that man have developed a lot of psychological problems being housed in with hard criminals, rapists, murderers, child diddlers. You know, to be in that environment for a certain amount of years, you cannot tell me that man came out and he did not have some type of jail PTSD. You know what I'm saying? That's PTSD right there. You know, he probably came home and slapped her mama a few times, or being angry, being paranoid. Someone touched his stuff in the bathroom. I know this for a fact because my brother, not my brother, my ex boyfriend brother was in went to prison for a lot of years.
I'm sorry, I gotta interject just 1 second. Maya, like, first of all, I'm a little confused because you said that you were leaving, so I'm confused by that, number one. But if you like to stay, that's not a problem. But number two, you talking about like people turning their cameras on and showing that they're wealthy and bajillionaires. The only person that said that was you. So you could come up here and show us, and we could just, be in awe of like your millionaire status, which is not a problem. I don't think that anyone else came up here and bragged about a lifestyle except for you. So I don't understand what this is, and nobody's bullying you or attacking you. I didn't call you any names. I didn't say anything bad about you. All we said is we addressed the actual things that you said. You said that black people aren't a monolith, and that, not all black men are criminals and this, that, and the third, but then turned around and said your father was a criminal and was in prison and institutionalized. You negated your own point. That's a fact. I didn't feel like that was attacking you. I didn't call you any names or anything. I clicked on your picture. I think you're a very beautiful black woman. I think that you sound like a very educated black woman. I didn't attack you or say anything, and I don't think T attacked you either, nor did Supervillain. Supervillain actually said, hey, I wasn't meaning to say anything badly about anybody or make it seem like I was better than anyone. She said I was just stating my own experience and what I know my daughter has experienced, and I know that a lot of people have not experienced it. Nobody attacked you or said anything. So I'm confused. The only person that was trying to stun up here was you. And I don't mind people stunting. If you're a black person and you've made it and you're successful, I don't mind you stunting. Like, go ahead, do you, sis. Like I said, the only issue I had was the coddling and the kind of like hypocrisy and things that didn't add up with what you were saying. That's it. So I'm confused. I don't understand. I'll add you back up here because I'm confused as to like what's going on here. You can go ahead, Maya.
I'm going to go ahead and get off here, but I want to say maybe you weren't attacking me, but it felt like an attack. And it definitely felt like T was attacking me as well. When she said people can be anybody they want to be on TikTok, that's when I said I will get on here and turn on my camera and show exactly what I am, exactly what I'm doing. However, it's not about that. I don't think I said anything different than what you all said before I got on the live, because I hadn't been here the whole time. You were saying, well, but prior I said that I didn't live in the hood. I grew up like this. I grew up like that. It was no different than me telling you guys my experience of how I grew up. You
No,
guys just
but
took
let me
it.
say this, Maya. You said from the very beginning in the comments, you said that, I was with her until she said that two-parent households can have problems too, because let's not act like single mothers and this, that. You were already in the comments trying to put down single mothers and act like being in a two-parent household means that something great is going to be going on. That's
No,
what
I
I
did
had
not.
an issue with. And I think that it's crazy for you to say that with a father that was incarcerated. That doesn't even make any logical sense, ma'am. That's it. It doesn't make any logical sense. You are a statistic yourself. So you can't use that to try to put down single mothers. That's the issue that I had. You
I
started
never
out
put
being
down single
combative in the
mothers.
comments. You started out being combative in the comments from the jump, but I added you up. I didn't disrespect you. I let you say your point of your position. I never said anything bad to you about it. I didn't have a problem with you saying, that you were privileged or wealthy or anything like that. That didn't mean anything to me. That was fine. And I'm the one that said that anybody can be whoever they are on TikTok. That's not to say that you're not. That's not to say that you don't. If you like to turn your camera on and make us all feel bad about ourselves, that won't happen. But you can do that if you'd like to prove your point. I have no problem with that.
You
I have
guys
no
are making
problem
me
with
out
you.
to be someone who I'm not. And that's what I have a
I
problem with.
didn't make a. I did. What I
And
did
then
was
talking
I
about my
addressed what you
dad
said.
hit my mom and all that.
let me say this. I addressed what you said. Nobody made you out to be a bad person. I don't know you. This is my first time interacting with you. All I did was address what you said. You did come up here and say that black people are not a monolith, that not all black men are criminals, and turn around and tell me that your father was indeed a criminal and has been incarcerated and was incarcerated a large part of your younger years. That's a fact. You said that. That was in direct contradiction to the point that you were trying to make. That's a fact. You did come up here and talk about privilege and multimillionaire things and then turn around and try to shame Supervillain for saying something around the same way that you said. That was actually what you did and what you said. So if people are confused and they feel like you're double talking, that's not attacking you. That's exactly what you represented yourself to be here. Contradictory and hypocritical. That's a fact. That's exactly what you did. I like I said earlier, I clicked on your picture. I think that you're a beautiful black woman. You sound intelligent. If you're doing it the way you said, I'm proud of you. I'm not going to degrade you for that. But what I like to do is attack what people said, not their character. I didn't say anything about any of your externals. I didn't say, oh, I think you're a horrible individual. I just attacked what you directly did here. So I don't want to make it like I'm abusing a black woman because I'm not. Neither did T. T didn't come up and say, oh, you're ugly or this, you're that. Oh, you're. She didn't say that. She attacked what you said, not you though. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you speak again. But I just don't want it to seem like that's what we're doing here because that's not what we did. That's not what we did at all. But I think that we also had an issue with, just like I said, the whole putting yourself in the position of making excuses for black men engaged in certain behaviors. I, that's it. I don't know. But I'm trying to unmute you. You can unmute yourself if you would like to speak and move forward. I don't mind that. Oh, she dropped. Just so y'all know, she dropped. I did not drop her. I tried to unmute her mic
So
and she
can I
dropped.
say
She was gonna
something?
come up. I was trying to see if she was gonna come up because my opinion is if I was a millionaire, you already see me barely on TikTok, not like that because I'm just living my life. Now, if I was a damn millionaire, I wouldn't be on no TikTok. You would have saw me on a jet going to Paris right now, escaping the cold weather. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, you guys, I did unmute her mic. She just dropped. I wasn't trying to beat her down or anything like that, but I just don't like the false narratives of trying to make it seem like we all said something that
I'm
we didn't
sorry,
say.
Trigger. She said her dad's a millionaire, not her. What? So you're not benefiting from any of that money? What? What's the whole point of bragging about? What's the whole point of bringing it up, sis? This is what we're talking about. Where is leaving us very confused. He's a millionaire, but you're not a millionaire. I mean, you're not getting none of that money. Like he's not supporting you. So he went to jail, abandoned you and your mother, got out, became a millionaire, and didn't compensate for none of those absent days at all. I'm just saying, nah. I'm just saying.
Like I said, I think really the trigger for her was really super villain speaking on her daughter and her speaking on the fact that her daughter was doing things that a lot of people weren't doing. I think that was really the trigger, and I didn't take no offense to it. But I thought she
Trey,
was just
though.
bragging on her daughter. I said, hey, go
Hey,
ahead,
what
brag
was
on your
wrong with her?
baby.
Exactly. She was talking about her daughter. I think that came from jealousy of her talking about how well her daughter is. Because we also got to accept the fact that there are women that are, like, in the black community, there are different types of jealousy, even amongst other women, when they see that a black girl is being treated well, better than her, growing up, especially in with her mother, having a good relationship with her mother. That does trigger a lot of pick-me's. Because a lot of pick-me's was not like, they had mommy issues. Their mother did not invest in them. And I think that's a whole problem in the community. Like, come on. A woman cannot talk about her daughter without somebody getting personally offended. That's weird.
I
My,
want
but
to answer to T Scorpio. This is my benefit. I'm sitting down at stores that we own. We own this whole plaza. I'll go outside and show you. I'm sitting here. I own several stores because of my parents. So that's my benefit. I'm 27 years old and I own all of this because of them, because he put us in a position to be able to win, whether he went to jail or not. So that was my benefit to answer your question. If you must know, If you must know, we own
Maya, can
this
I ask you a
entire
question,
plaza.
please?
This is what she
This
wanted to do from
entire
the beginning.
plaza. So that is my
Sure.
benefit. So
Okay.
I don't like how you guys are showing jealousy. Well, you
M-
T really
No one's jealous
Maya,
of
can I
you.
acting
ask you a
like
No
you
one's jealous. You
aren't.
the
question?
one's jealous of an underage child. You ran up to
Maya,
her
can I
talking
ask you
about
a
her
question,
daughter.
please?
That's weird. You ran up talking about yourself
T,
when
can
she
I
was
ask her a
talking about a
question?
teenage daughter. That was weird.
Maya, can I
That
ask you a
was
question,
weird.
please? I am trying to do the best I can for my daughter. How do I get my daughter set up like you? I would like to open a beauty supply store for my daughter. If you can hit me in my DM.
I
Mama
sure
ain't
will.
raised
I'd
no
be
fool.
happy to help you.
I'm gonna take the
With the
advice where I
things
can
that
get
I know,
it.
I only can tell you what I know. I inherited a lot of what I did. And that's why I talk about my dad the way he does, because although he went through all of those bad things, he still turned around and made a positive and set his child up for success. So I will never, ever let anyone on the internet or anyone else judge his character by a mistake that he made. I understand. I told you guys that in confidence, saying, I understand. I understand the hood demographic. I also understand how it is to grow up privileged. All I was saying was we cannot put everyone in the same category. I wasn't trying to down anyone. I told you guys, I have cousins who were raised by
Maya,
single black women. You guys missed all of that in the comments.
Maya, you gotta chill. All right, you gotta relax. Once again, like I said, and because I don't want us to argue and go back and forth and make it to be like that. Because I try to make this a safe space for black women. Once again, I just want you to understand the reason why things happen the way they happen. What you said and what you were saying was in direct opposition to the statements that came out of your mouth. This whole panel was about black men and what's going on in the black community and them taking accountability. And we were talking about statistics and things that were going on. When you came up here, your statement was that we're not all a monolith. Black men are all doing this. Black men are all in jail and all of these other things. And then you turned around and said that your father was in jail. This isn't to say, I now T has her own thoughts about this, but this isn't to say that your father can't redeem himself or that he can't be better or he can't do this, that, and the third, or that there's something wrong with you. But the problem is that you can't tell me that certain things are not that prevalent in the black community, or let's look at it like they're it's a one-off or it's not that many, when you are also part of the statistic that we're talking about that we're saying is a problem in the black community, because it is indeed a problem. That is the problem that I can't speak for anyone else, and I'll let everybody else respond to you. But that was the issue that I had with the things that you were saying, because when you try to make it seem as if it's not a big problem, that enables black men to still engage in this behavior, or enables it to go and not be looked at as a huge problem as what it is, to say that, oh, it's not that many people. So that's what I'm saying. And then the other thing, like I said earlier, is the issue that you immediately said when Supervillain was talking about her child. You said, well, you don't know everybody. You don't know everybody to say what everybody's done on the panel. You weren't even on the panel at that point. Why did you have such a big issue with her talking about how she's afforded her child a life of luxury, or at least a better life than she has was able to get herself, that she is able her child to have a lot more luxuries? I didn't understand why you had an issue with that, or why you even took that to me personally. That wasn't a comment that you should have even made. You get what I'm saying? So that's the reason why you got the response, because some of the things that you said were weird. Weird is probably not even the word to use, because it makes it seem like it's not that big a deal, but they were strange and could make somebody to be upset or respond in a way that you may not like in return to you. You get what I'm saying?
I do, but I said that she spoke about her daughter beautifully. When I entered the chat, you all were talking about a specific group of people. And then when she said that, I piggybacked off her to make a point. Everybody in our community is not like this, but I also get what you're saying. So I'm just going to land at that. And I understand, and it's good. It's fine.
Okay,
I
yeah.
just
I
say
mean, because
something,
like
Trig, real quick.
yeah, go ahead, supervillain. Well, let me say this real quick. It's just because we don't know you. Like, I know T, I know supervillain, I know Caramel Mermaid that's up here. We talk frequently on here on these live spaces, and so we know what the deal is. We don't know you, so maybe if you were up here a lot and we knew you and you said that, and we knew that you weren't on that type of time, we could be like, oh well, we know that it's not like that, but we don't know you. But go ahead, supervillain.
How are you?
Yes. I
What you
just
need?
wanted to say to Maya, we are so happy that that you lived that experience. There's no jealousy up here. We wish all little black girls can have the experience of growing up, wealthy or better off. We can argue in this panel. Me and Trig have totally opposing views when it comes to relationships, and I'm on her panel every single day. So I don't want you to take this, whatever this was, as a thing to be mad, because as black women, we need to stick together. Again, I'm glad that that was your experience. That's the experience I'm trying to give my daughter. Somewhere along the line, it get mixed up. And please don't mind T. She's just she's from New York. That's just a New York thing. But I just wanted to take this opportunity because it seems like once we clear it up, it looks like it was just a misunderstanding or a crossing of wires. Again, I'm gonna need that info if you can hit me in the DM though. But I do appreciate when there are you know, the space that black girls or women growing up in a better life. I will never be against that or be mad at that. Or, I always like to be in company of that. I just wanted to say that. Let me get back to capitalism because I'm not a millionaire. I definitely have to be on this job. I'm a yield there. Okay.
All right, I appreciate you, supervillain. Yeah, I just wanted. I'm glad we were able to get some type of resolution of that because, like I said, I really do love black women, and I think y'all all know that I always say that this is a safe space for black women and black women only to speak how they feel, and we won't always agree. And we might bump heads sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's how we come together after the bumping of the heads. We can make a resolution and get on common ground and still love each other at the end of the day. So hopefully we can do that moving forward. I don't have any ill will to anybody on the panel, of course, and definitely not you either, Maya. I think that hopefully now that we got every clarifications, that it was probably just a misunderstanding between us all. That and even if it wasn't, we can just move forward from this point. You know what I mean? But let me go up here to Caramel Mermaid, and then I'll go to 7 Mile. And oh no, your Caramel Mermaid, then Weston, then 7 Mile.
Okay, hello everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Happy Tuesday. One thing I'm gonna say is, when it comes to like the whole class thing, whatever. I did some research. Statistically, we as a community, black people, we take 14% of the population, and actually, there's more of us that are middle class than actually poor and in poverty. Um, yeah, I think it's like 44% of black people that are quote unquote in the middle class category. And then I think it's like 20 that is like lower class or something in that nature. So yeah, we're like all of us are not dirt poor. It's just I think it's like mainly us being middle class. The what I do want to talk about on the topics, but I think she went away, and I can't see it.
Yeah, just keep going. Like she'll be
Okay.
back. She
All
usually does
right.
that.
But yeah, the thing is, like, I think we're in a community, we do need to realize that statistically, when it comes to crimes and things like that, it's not black women. Like, I don't have an urge of beefing with supervillain and then be like, oh, well, I gotta off her. Like, I gotta take her off the census. Like, if I'm beefing with you, I'm beefing with you, but I'm going on with my life, and she's gonna go with her life, and it is what it is. And then also, like, and that's the question. The number three. That is the main question. Like, why do a lot of black men do act like savages? Like, is it something off with their frontal lobe, or is it some kind of severe? I mean, I do know it's like a severe neurodivergency because I'm not gonna lie, I work at Social Security, so a lot of black women who has little boys, who sign up for SSI, they always come in and they be like, okay, what is, and we ask like, what is your child's disability? And with little black boys, it's always like ODD, any defiance disorder out there, like they're getting that for their sons because their sons are trying to define anything. They're being very defiant for no apparent, for
I ain't gonna say for no apparent reason, but they're being like severely defiant at any given chance. So it's like that needs to be studied.
Okay.
Like why all these black men and boys have this form of neurodivergency of being ODD, and it's real common with them, and like that does need to be
Okay.
yeah, that does. But you and I do realize because that's me too. What Coach T said, like a lot of black women, we have attention deficit disorder, but we kind of know how to hide it very well, especially if it's like an active ADHD. We can hide it very well. Um. So
Okay.
yeah, and so yeah, we are undiagnosed, misdiagnosed. The boys would get, oh well, boys would just be boys. Move it on. Um,
Okay.
then with the violence, I think we get hung as black women because of our gender, because of our racial proximity to black men. Because I do see like a lot of racist white trolls, they love to bring up, that's why you black people are criminals. I'm like, criminals? I haven't committed a crime a day in my life. Now I had some few speeding tickets, but I paid them off, okay, before the deadline. Um, but I was like, I'm like, I never committed a crime in my life, never stole, never unalived, never raped, never essayed. I never did none of that. So how all black people are, so how am I a criminal? Well, the black on black crime. Every race commit crime. But yeah, and I think it's our proximity as us being black women to black men is we'll get lumped in with the crimes and all that. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Carmel Mermaid. All right, sis. I'm gonna I just want to respond quickly to 7 Mile in the comments. I think you said that it's the upbringing. And I it's not the upbringing, because if it was the upbringing, black women would be behaving in the same manner, and they're not. So it's something else. And I know what it is, but do you? Let me go up here to Weston. Go ahead, Weston. I'll give you 2 minutes, sir.
Hey, what's going on? I think, it's really simple and we trying to make it hard. If we speaking on what I see in the photo, I mean, a lot of these kids, y'all allowing y'all kids to be raised on violent video games and violent entertainment. They get programmed, they become violent, they go out here and commit violence.
What?
And it's really that
Okay.
simple.
I'm gonna
I'm
stop right
confused.
there.
Okay.
I'm
Just a
sure you
second.
would.
Just a second. That doesn't make any sense. It's
It
it's
does make sense.
definitely not video games,
It
because if it
definitely
was
is
video
video
games,
games.
do you know who is like a very large consumer of video games
Black
besides
people.
black men?
But we're talking about black people. We're not
Okay, we're
talking about
talking.
that. We're
Okay,
talking on the
it's not
subject.
video games. What it is the culture that has been created by black men through media, through music, through
Right. Video games,
TV.
and I
It's
said
not video
entertainment.
games.
I
It's the
said
culture
entertainment.
of. Excuse me. It's the culture of
But you're saying
criminality.
what I'm saying. I didn't say that. I did say. I said video
Okay,
games
video
and
games is a
entertainment.
stupid thing. Video games, the fact that you said video games
Okay.
is
Well, I'm
completely
sorry,
idiotic.
angry black woman. It's just
Okay,
the
okay,
truth.
and I'm sorry,
I'm a
criminal
man, and I
black
know.
man. I'm sorry, ashy black man. I'm sorry, dusty black man. I'm sorry, on back on child support black man. I'm sorry, black man that has a criminal record, a felony, or a misdemeanor black man. I'm sorry, black man that's missing and absent in their homes and is not pouring into their family black man. I'm sorry, murderous black man. Since we want to use racial stereotypes to try to talk about somebody, the biggest amount of angry that you can be is to get mad at somebody and put them in the dirt. So black women are doing that. So I would venture to say you're way more angry than me, player. Men that look like you are way more angry than me, sir. Because I don't see no black women getting mad because somebody said something to them and going and pew-pewing the place up and pew-pewing the kids. So what are we really talking about? You over here talking about some video games. Are you dumb? I play video games all day, every day, and have been since I've been a child. Call of Duty and everything else. And so with plenty of other black men. The ones that's playing the video games are not the ones that you need to be worried about. Are you dumb? Like, I want to say more, but it's that was just so stupid. I just couldn't even allow you to even continue to keep speaking. Like, what?
weren't these problems
Exactly.
weren't these problems there before video games? Even
Yes.
Yes.
before COD and all that other stuff?
Yes. Like my very first game, I'm giving y'all my age today. But yeah, my very first game I played when I was like a toddler was the duck hunting game. Like
I
I would
played Duck Hunt too.
yeah, I would walk up
Mine's
to
is Sonic.
the TV screen, start pew pewing
Yeah,
the
start
ducks,
popping
and
that
start
screen.
laughing.
Nah,
But
y'all don't got nothing on
I
Sega
never
Bass
went to no
Fishing, baby.
criminal thing.
I
Nah,
play Sonic.
I play. Nah, I
Sega.
played
Sonic
Sega
was my
Bass Fishing, and I
jam.
don't know how to fish till this day.
I can't even believe he said that though. Like that was just so ridiculous. Like I'm sorry, y'all. I just couldn't even allow him to continue to speak because that was just so dumb. Like that was just so idiotic. Like truthfully, like this man said video games, and it's just like, are you not aware of historically what's been going on in the black community? These problems have not just happened. These have happened before, like video games, like were even popping like that. Like it's crazy, ridiculous.
Sugar, I'm just gonna say not pushback, but I am going to like because I'm into all types of studies. Psychology had did mention that a lot of these violent games are making the boys playing the video games so young, making them susceptible of anger, making them like having like rage because of the video games that they're playing, and they losing and they getting upset, and it's causing them to be emotionally regulated. So I do believe that, because when I read that study, it brought me back to how my cousins would get bent out of shape losing the video games and punch walls, and they'll get into fights. So yeah, two
I
things
just
could be
feel like
true.
I feel like that's like people that are mentally unstable already. I talk to a lot of people that are gamers because like I'm actually a gamer. I don't know any black men that I've ever talked to that are into games that have even ever been arrested. So I don't know. I just can't get behind it. It would seem that and me and I have also been in my presence been in the presence of hood Negroes that have been engaged in criminal behavior, and every last one of them has not been into any type of video games. You know what I'm saying? But you know what they have been into? They have been into, criminal movies and TV like Power and BMF and things like that, and into Baby Boy and into thug life in it and listening to all type of ignorant rap music. They have been into that type of thing. So I don't know. And the fact that that man literally tried to call me an angry black woman, as a stereotype. And it's so funny when black men use that. That's the only thing that y'all can use angry. I mean, I guess I would be angry if I was associated with BANs like you every day. Of course, that would make me angry or upset. And it's crazy because honestly, I really do feel like the majority of the things that black men say to black women that are, stereotypes or racial stereotypes or whatever, are rooted in projection. Because as I said earlier, the biggest anger that you could show is unaliving somebody that looks like you. And men that look like you do that overwhelmingly way more often than anything else. So the everyone knows that when y'all get angry, we gotta go somewhere and escape and run for the hills because there's gonna be some slow singing and flower bringing. So my thing is that what are you really talking about? Like you're just ashy, and I wish that I could have talked to you further, but clearly you don't have the intellect to even carry on a conversation. Like you just don't. But anyway, like I said, ugh, that was just so dumb. I can't defend the indefensible. But go ahead, 7 Mile. Go
How
ahead.
you doing? How you doing?
Hey, hey, hey.
Like,
I hope you have cut your video games off for today. Don't want you to become murderous.
what
Uh,
what's crazy is a lot of because my brother-in-law, like, he was on Instagram. He in and out of this stuff too. And he play games, but a lot of the guys that are in these streets, they play games so they can stay out that stuff. I've seen guys like that, real ops. They real ops, and they say, "Hey, where you at? Come outside," because they want to start the beef. They, bro, I'm in the house, bro. I'm not going outside. Like, And then that's when they get their location found, or they, docs, I guess, and then they literally get unalive at their home. That's how it is these days. These young guys don't play games, bro. They don't. Even my bro, he 14. He talking about, yeah, bro, I don't play games. Like, they don't play the games at all. So that's out of the picture. I don't know why people always saying that it's gamers, and the gamers are the ones they used to call it nerds.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I
crazy.
definitely agree with you. That's why it was just blowing my mind that he would even go to that. Like, the fact that there are so many other things that are actually noticeably harmful to people in the black community, like I said, the glorification of violence, like with movies like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and all those things, glorifying or making pop culture, black men engaged in criminal behavior. Those things have actually, there are so many studies that have been done that those things actually deeply, truly affect black men and also black women and how they perceive masculinity. I have no idea why he wouldn't speak on that. If he had spoken on that first, I could have respected what he was saying, but just to directly go to video games as if, and not to mention that there are plenty of video games that, because he mentioned Call of Duty, but there are plenty of video games that are not even shooter based games. You have MMOs, you got fantasy games, you got a lot of different type of games that aren't even rooted in that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are you really talking about? You just pulling stuff out of your behind, because not all games are about pew pewing people.
And yeah,
So
they
it's like
literally said
there's a whole
Fortnite
host of
was a
things.
bad game and it influenced the kids to be bad children.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, these are
I
kids
think
that
that was
literally
ridiculous.
can't control their emotions. So, yeah, so this is a 7-year old, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kid that gets mad at the game. They can't even control their emotions because they're a child. Now, if you a grown 30-year-old man crashing out about the video game, now you a problem. But, like, what I would think is the solution to all this is, like, we generally got to stand up and get them niggas up out of there. Like, those people that don't want to be for the community, don't want to do anything positive, if they always got to, they don't have a, because I made a post about this. They don't have like an idea to push forward the next person's idea. I guess like that makes sense. Like one person have an idea and the next person like, oh well, that ain't gonna work. Them people are problems in my eyes. Because this person has an idea of fixing the community, and then you come with an idea or excuse of, well, we can't do that because this and this reason why we can't do that. Yeah, you a problem. The men we need to be out here in the streets literally stopping this stuff. Like we see it happening. We literally see these little niggas out here with switches. The police too scared to do the shit. They don't want to do it. They don't want to deal with us anyway because we melanin. They rather just pew pew us. So you're better off having one of us our own do it. Because I literally seen a video with the police was doing a regular traffic stop and they got hit with a switch and they didn't even chase them. They were so scared. So it's like that's what we need to do. We need to just stop blaming the black women. It's not their fault at all. Like, 'cause a lot of times the black women they be doing all they need to benefit the household because the man out there, and then their young son is probably assisting or in the streets. So it's like we can't really blame the black women because the streets is raising these little boys. It's not to say the black women aren't, but they're doing their part. But this boy is out here in the streets. He's getting raised by the streets. He's getting raised by what they would call a big brother of the streets. And then he ended up getting tricked to the streets and becoming a gang member and then or an affiliate. And then now he a YN out here with switches and people want to say, oh, it's the black woman. No. Where was his father? Unless he got unalive, where was this nigga?
All right, 7 Mile. Okay, I'm gonna go up here to Dark Truth. Did you have something to say? And then I'm gonna go to T. And well, I don't know if Super Villain wants to speak, and then Karma Mermaid, because I'm gonna wrap it up, you guys, because I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Because once it starts hitting 2 hours, I'll be like, yeah, I'm about to end it because it's been going on for a long time. Go ahead, Dark Truth.
Uh, and all I wanted to say was that there hasn't been enough scientific studies when it comes to video games in relation to violence for anybody to say that in the first place. And then the other thing that I had was 7 Mile, what he said as far as what would you suggest that black men do within the community? Because I have an idea of what needs to be done, but it's going to be a lot of black on black violence in order to clean it up. If you get what I'm saying, to get it to where it needs to be for those who are too hard headed to change their ways or get out of the life of being thugs and stuff like that.
All right.
Hey, oh, can I respond to him real quick?
Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So, from my experience of like seeing how these guys are, the guy they when they come to these dealers, they are going out of our communities and going to sell to these white tea peoples because that's where the money's at. So unless they are literally our community is allowing these people to sell to our community, which I don't agree with, then they are problem. Those I don't really think they are a big problem. The big problem is the young people from 16 to 27. We need to stop them in their tracks when they out here in the streets. When they out here getting influenced by these certain people, when you see it, we all, me included, we all need to say, hey, I don't think you be around, bro. And we already know who this person is. They're in the community, so this is he walking around his flag on his ankle or something. You already know who this guy is. Tell the young nigga like, no, you don't need to be around him. That man either he gonna get mad or he gonna understand where we coming from. They are not ignorant to the fact that like they know that this lifestyle ain't for everybody, right? Because some of them be like, well, this ain't the lifestyle they want, and they say it all the damn time. And then some of them is just ignorant. They've never been to school. They just dumb. But a lot of them aren't dumb. They just don't give a fuck.
All right, all right. All right, so let me go over here to Caramel Mermaid and then T. If you had something to say, Caramel Mermaid, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, well, it's not going to be too long. You know what? I'm glad with the solution that 7 miles, 7 kilometers made. Um, like all that solution, like sometimes a lot of the elder men in our community, we do need to stop these younger men dead at their checks and give them the game and tell them, hey, this is not the person you want to hang out with. This is not the person you want to associate yourself with because XYZ. This is not a good. This is not a good person that you need to align yourself because you're gonna end up under the ground, or you're gonna end up in adult punishment. So I do agree with him when he said about that. Secondly, yeah, that whole blaming the video game thing, that kind of ticked me off. I did not know me playing The Sims could cause me to get so mad because Don Lothario decided he wanted to wash the dishes in the bathroom sink. Didn't know that triggered me to be violent, and I never had an urge of grabbing Warrior fans to off somebody. Never had that from Mortal Kombat. But yeah, that was that. And then I did hear like those studies was inconclusive, like even with the music as well. Like I do remember like they was blaming Marilyn Manson for Columbine.
Yeah, and you know what,
Yeah.
Caramel Mermaid, you see what happened though with that. White tea people felt like that music was affecting their kids' brains, and they stopped using that as mainstream music. And I think that that's just a perfect example of because if hip hop was marketed exclusively to white tea people and they were behaving in the way that black men do, and it was even indirectly linked to this, it would stop being mainstream right away. You know what I mean? And because that's what they did to Marilyn Manson, like that. Because I remember that was like being kind of like pop culture type thing, and they nipped that in the bud quick when the white kids started going crazy.
Not only that, they fought tooth and nail to like keep Eminem out of their household too. They didn't like his influence on young white kids and stuff like that.
Yep, they was going crazy about him too. Yep. But with black people, it's just all good. Like to just leave it, leave all these dudes out here actually like, and with the drill rappers, like they actually be actively unaliving people and still be like popping. Like you got Dirk like making songs with Drake and all these popular people, and this man actually, well, allegedly putting hits out on people. So it's just like, man, get real. Like if this was like a white tea people, this stuff was going on, they would have been nipped all of this in the bud. But they think that, well, it is not that they think it is happening, that it is an aid in the destruction of the black community. So anything that pushes us further to destroy ourselves, or pushes black men more specifically to destroy the community, they just gonna keep doing it, which is it's sad. It's a sad situation. But and I think that until you have more black men that are willing to acknowledge what's going on, nothing will change. Just like how the goofy dude, the Weston, got up here and started talking about angry black women, this and that. That's not even what we talking about. But this, pew pew violence is black men are at a elevated risk of that occurring to them. And you want to talk about angry black women, you should talk about something that you could actually be touched by, because the angry black woman, supposedly, that's not gonna do nothing to you. You'll still be able to be around and living. But on the opposite end of things, an angry black man, you may lose your life. But anyway, let me keep going forward. Go ahead, T.
Yeah, it's funny how y'all mentioned Marilyn Manson, and it's one of the things I was going to mention, but I found it very funny. Like, I was like, I got to put my finger on, like, what all of these excuses remind me of something, and that's basically what it is. You see, when a white tea kid do something, and they hold a press conference, and they say, "Oh, it's because he was bullied. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that." I see that black people have adopted that type of excuse what white tea people do with their children. They blame everybody else under the sun except for the fact it has nothing, except for the boy that committed the crime. He pew pew askew. Oh, it's because he was bullied. Oh, it's because, like, oh, let's study him. What led him to do this? I think black people have adopted that type of cop out. And that's why whenever time we put on a prompt, a black man doing something, now all of a sudden everybody's psychologist, everybody's a scientist, everybody's a sociologist, finding out, trying to figure it out like a mystery. Oh, but we got to see why he's like this. We got to see why he's like this, but then on the same breath, they talk about accountability. Like, it doesn't make any sense, and one of the things that I'm going to point out is that why are we including candy dealers as part of the community? This is why they will never go anywhere, and why they can do the things that they doing and affecting our children, our boys in particularly, because none of these men have the balls to push them out. Push them out. Call the cops. Yes, snitch on them. Yes, do it. Do it. Why is it normalized that they can stand in the corner, in the same corner where your little girl can walk school in front of them? Go to school. They the ones hollering at your daughter while she's walking to school. No one does anything to these men. It's like, well, they just there, like, just don't talk to them. No. Why don't you, as a protector, approach them and say, listen, you need to get up out this neighborhood now. I'm coming up in the time that my father and other men in our blocks in the neighborhood got together with bats and pipes and push them out. That is where I'm coming from. That is what I've seen. I've seen my father do it. I've seen men in the community with black cops, with black men that became police officers, push them out the community, push them out where we were. I can say I have never saw a candy dealer. I never saw a candy dealer until after, like, I seen the addicts, but the candy dealers wouldn't dare stand near our corners because they're going to get dealt with. And that's where I see the problem lies with black men. I hear the lack of spine. Like, I'm sorry, like, no disrespect to 7 Miles, but, like, basically just warning your son not to talk to them, that's not good enough. Like, why is he comfortable on the street corner around our children? He should be know that behavior is intolerable. It's not tolerable amongst us. It's not. And I see, like, every time we talk about the black community, we include these people, these parasites, as if they're actually part of the community. And y'all wonder why it's so messed up. Y'all normalize like pimps is part of the community. Prison felons are part of the community. Like just because yeah they went to jail, like they could be rehabilitated. No, a lot of our problems in the black community, the toxic cultures came from prison cultures. Like the felons that went to jail came home and spread they nasty prison culture out in the streets, because there's no reason why a young boy is wearing his pants saggy where that originated in prison. He never went to jail a day in his life. How did he end up doing it? Why? Because he saw a dirty, nasty felon do it. And it's high time we stop doing that. Like it's time to stop doing that. Every time we're amongst degenerates, it's like everyone want to turn a blind eye to degenerates and just teach the child to avoid them. Y'all, when y'all do that, y'all sound no better than the mother telling her daughter when company come over, make sure you don't wear shorts. Cover yourself up when your uncle come home. That's how y'all sound. That is how y'all sound. When y'all tell when you tell your sons, don't talk to Mike up the block. You're basically saying, put on a jacket. Your uncle's coming over. It's the lack of backbone that I hear in our men, and it is sad that y'all actually made these candy dealers part of the community. No one does nothing to them. This shouldn't be a everyday occurrence. This shouldn't be normalized to us. Like gang violence. Like this is not normal, ladies and gentlemen. We shouldn't be accustomed to unalivement. I know that's not a word, but I can't say the D word. We should not be accustomed to that. That is psychologically unhealthy. To be so used to seeing bodies. Children 5 years old should not be going to school with their siblings and see an unalive body. That's traumatization right there. I don't know. Like I said, like when I hear the men, I don't hear no pushback on how we are going to push them out so our children will not be associated and see it in their environment. Everybody want to blame it on the environment, but nobody want to do nothing to clean up the environment. That's all.
All right, all right. T, I definitely think that you made a lot of good points. I really don't have anything to add to it because I think what you said was very accurate. So let me go down here real
When I
quick.
just real quick, you see what he just said, but the children got to choose who to listen to also. That's no excuse. You're basically leaving a responsibility in the hands of a child. They children. They don't know what's best for them. This is why children have guardians, because the adults know what's best for children. How are you going to blame the child for making a wrong decision? They're children. They're supposed to make wrong decisions. They're children. They lack the experience. They don't know what
I'm
danger
not
is.
blaming the
You as a
children.
man do.
What I'm saying is, like I said, us men, we will literally tell them to choose they basically to listen. Like I literally was talking to my brother, my little bro, and he want to be a YN, but I was asking like, what is you doing in school? Are you like trying to do anything in school? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling him like, don't be in it, don't smoke, don't do all these things. If he don't want to listen, like
Lip
I said, I
service.
can't force him to listen to me.
You
I can't.
see, and this is
That's
why
the whole
we are
point.
in the state where we are in today. You cannot sit there and say we got to come up with a solution and then you don't do nothing
No,
for the
I
solution.
told him, but I can't force
Hell,
nobody to do anything.
I told him, but what are you doing?
I mean, it's life. I'm telling when I see him,
Nothing.
I'm telling him.
Nothing at all.
No,
It's
no.
Well,
so
What are you
Do
embarrassing. Why
the
would you
question
telling
is,
doing?
him not to be
T
anything. I'm
T
telling him,
why
bro.
the
I
question
might need
is
to
who
cut
are
it.
the influences around your brother that's causing him to do that, and how can you get those influences from around him so that he
School,
can listen to you?
the schools. Like he's around
This,
young
you
children
are?
that do the same things.
yeah, but I'm saying like, okay,
He
he go
say
to
I
school.
am.
No, I'm saying he go to school and he's around these influences. So when after school happens, is someone there to get him? Is he in after school programs like sports, football, wrestling,
He was in
basketball?
football, but his grades was bad, so he couldn't be in football no more. And like, cause he's not my blood brother. I just call him bro because I'm friends of the family. So I'm like a brother. So I know him for 8 years. So I seen him as a young one coming up to, where he's at. So he's changing. Where his father passed away last year. So he's changing.
So you took on that
I
responsibility
didn't
to
take on the
be his male
responsibility.
guidance, to be his older male influence, but yet you were doing very little. But you were doing very little. I don't just tell young girls to stay away from certain type of men. I actually approach the men and say, "Don't talk to the young girls." You know how many times my little short 5'2" self approach grown men that's talking to little girls on their way to school and say, "Yo, don't talk to her. If you talk to these little girls again, I'm gonna call the cops and you have my camera phone showing their faces. If you ever talk to any of these girls going to the school, I will call the cops on you. Oh, you gonna snitch? I say, yes, I'll do it for free. And I have not seen them on the block since I've done that.
All right, all right. I mean, I definitely agree with the more hands-on approach, T. However, it's really not even a however. I just think that because black men know the depths of what some other black men will do as far as, violence and acts, they may be afraid to do that, to do what you do, because they may be afraid that that'd be the last thing that they ever do.
Yeah,
I
but like
don't
his
even know how
blood
to say
brother,
that without
he don't
sounding, but
want to put
y'all,
his
you know
hands
what I
on because
mean, man.
they lose respect. Like
Right, you're right.
boys,
I understand.
they would
And
lose
that's the
respect.
thing. They don't want to be honest and just say, yes, I am afraid. There's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is just try to avoid them. Avoidance is just as harmful as doing nothing.
But I
But
do, but I do
but I don't
understand.
want to take up the
Like
panel.
we
Other
can't
people
be
want to talk.
too.
I'm sorry.
And then like
No, it's
boys these
okay.
days, they like yes, we can be hands on with them, but sometimes they lose respect for the guys. Like his blood brother, like it was a situation where with my family, they felt like he took some, and we addressed it, but his brother he don't want to be too hard on him because he's getting older, and he don't want to break that bond with his blood brother. Like sometimes they just don't want to. Some men don't want to be
That's
have.
the fear we're talking about. That's the
Right,
fear.
right.
It's not
It's
fear.
exact.
It's like would you want to
That's the
put
fear
your
we're
hands on your
speaking
little
of,
brother,
young man.
or do you
When
want?
when she said that you guys are scared of them, you being afraid to lose a friendship or whatever relationship that is because you're afraid to speak up for yourself or even your community says a lot. Like you've done nothing but give excuses. When are we going to stand the freak up?
All right.
Like,
He's
I gotta
I'm
go
14
in
though.
order.
sorry.
That's why I'm
Just a
trying to figure out
second,
what am I
y'all.
supposed to do. He's 14. Like he's a grown man. He's 14.
A baby, you could do a lot.
Okay, so he
14?
got four
Oh,
different
come
Right.
on
guys.
Listen,
now.
huh? Well, she got to
He has
move.
four
She
different
says she
guys that
wants to
never
go in
been
order.
felons, that never
Yeah,
go
I
to
want to go
jail.
in
She wants to
order.
go in
Challenge
order.
him.
7. Hold on, hold on. She wants to go in order because she says she
Yeah,
got to go soon. So
yeah,
let
yeah,
me.
yeah. So I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. Let me move forward to if I do supervillain, then Black Betty, and then Juneteenth, and then I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, and yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'm not. Go ahead, supervillain.
And it's interesting where the conversation went. And we can acknowledge that, yeah, these men are afraid to approach other men. But then when they put the responsibility on women, especially single mothers, how does that make sense? You as a grown man are afraid of other grown men, but you expect, right? Because what they say, who raised these kids? Again, I said this earlier in the live. If these people, my thing is, like, when they blame single mothers, again, are the single mothers the one running the streets, knocking over liquor stores, pew-pewing the playgrounds with their sons? No, these single mothers are at work trying to make ends meet. Who is the influence? These other men. I understand y'all being afraid to approach them, but then expecting the women in the community to do it is diabolical. By the way, a lot of the time these kids are following after these not so favorable characters is not necessarily what they're doing, it's because they're access to money. Maybe the guys who be on TikTok all day, the multimillionaires, the ones with businesses, 103 LLCs, did you know there's a program where you can hire these young men? They will be paid by the state and you can give them working experience. They don't know that because they don't care about these kids. They rather complain about them on TikTok than actually do something. All these guys with the, I don't know, T is with me. Every time we're on a panel where we experience at least 2 to 3 men who own their own business, got crazy free time, why aren't you taking these young boys and giving them some work experience? By the way, you don't have to pay for them. It's in each state. It's called Summer Youth Program or work program. You get a tax write-off. The government pays for these kids to work, and you're taking them off the street, giving them access to money that will help their families, so on and so forth. It causes a domino effect. Do you know that why they won't do it? Because they don't care. They just use these talking points as shaming tactics to attack women. Let's be honest. Let's have the real conversation. I know we're about to wrap up, but like, let's be for real. When they talk about these things, they don't care. They're using it as a shaming tactic to go against women. They could be doing plenty of things that has nothing to do with approaching the bad guys in their neighborhood. They just won't do it. I yield.
All right, super villain. Okay, let me go over here to Black Betty and then Juneteenth.
Good morning. Good morning. Exactly, ladies. Supervillain, you guys were right on point. I keep on saying that they need a villain. If they don't have a villain, then they can't be the hero. They need somebody to set them apart from the rest of the group. So if there are no bad people in the community, then how can they gaslight women into protection? How can they gaslight women into feeling like they need protection from men, even though the people who are harming women are other men? And that's why they try to guilt trip you or whatever, try to scare you, these scare tactics of don't dress this way, who's gonna what if somebody breaks into your house in the middle of the night, you can't go to the gas station, you can't walk out in the dark. Why is that? If you got rid of the bad men in the community, and if all these men were so good, then I should be able to walk out in the dark. If men are so good, I should be able to wear what I want to wear, right? No, they just want you to ignore the problem. Know that there are bad men out there. They don't want to protect you. They want to have the illusion of protection, because really they just want to you to behave in a certain manner to where they don't need to protect you, right? And they're gonna just tell you, oh well, there's bad guys out there, can't do nothing about it. They're gonna harm people, but you have me, so they're not gonna harm you. But they really don't care about the community, because if you cared about the community, you wouldn't just care about the the fertile, pretty young woman in the community to protect. You'd also care about the children. You'd also care about the people with disabilities. You also care about the elders, but y'all don't really care about them, because if you actually cared about them, then you would get those people out of the community, so that so that the vulnerable population can also be protected. And I land there.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to say that real quickly before I get to Juneteenth, that like I will say that this really indeed is like a serious problem. I was just thinking about a story that I heard. It was like maybe last month, that it was like 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 14-year-old. They robbed a man at Pew Pew Point for his vehicle. He fought back and ended up pew pewing all three of them, and it was either the 11-year-old or the 12-year-old passed away. And I the age of the boys that are engaging in this type of behavior is getting younger and younger and younger. And so, I understand that people are afraid of losing their lives and stuff like that. I will say that sometimes in order for certain changes to happen, people have to like put that on the back burner and realize for any type of improvement, they may have to risk their lives. But I understand that oftentimes that's easier said than done. But I will say that when you have children that are 11, 12, 13, engaging in extreme, criminal behavior, unaliving people, things like that, at that time, there should be Black men that are at least able to stand up and to aggressively talk to these children and fix things with them at least. Yes, and I definitely think they can call the police, Brooklyn, but I also think they have got to Black men have got to change the culture and environment of the way that masculinity is perceived. They got to stop only making programs that are filled with criminality like BMF, things of that nature, and Snowfall and all of these things as things that are standards in the black community, and make like why ain't 50 Cent or somebody else making fantasy movies, a Harry Potter for black people, you know what I'm saying, or like some type of action movies, you know what I mean, like for black people, or something like that. Why does it always have to be, oh, he got locked up, his girl held him down, he out there now struggling and selling candy, and like, why is all of that pushed to the black community? And until like black men that have means and power, like the ones that are selling out the black community, somebody like a 50 Cent, somebody like a Jay-Z, because regardless of what y'all say, he sold out the black community too. Until we can get them to be on board with actually changing the culture and what's fed to black people and young black men, we won't be able to get anywhere. And that all these younger black boys will be influenced. Also, the ones that are on TikTok and social media, like all of these things directly affect the psychology and mentality of young black boys, and it also affects black girls as well. But it just doesn't manifest in the way that it does with black men. I find that it seems like the negative influences that are around for black people affect black men a lot of times, young black boys, with criminality almost element. And a lot of times for young black girls, it may be hypersexuality, or the devaluing of oneself, or looking for love, from these young black men that they will never be able to give it to the black girls and the black women, if that makes sense or whatever. But let me keep going forward, and to Juneteenth, go ahead, sis.
Yes, ma'am. I think you like the ladies have mostly said it all. We need you guys, the men, to be present. I personally, I'm sick of y'all excuses. I'm sick of y'all. I've listened to you, young men. I'm disappointed. You guys put more effort into buying a new car or new Jordans or a new game than you do into yourselves or your fellow people. And we need to figure out why. It's hard for me to understand. And I duly, truly, truly send my heart out to this young man who lost his parent at 14. But that was your end. That's your way to get in and step in and say, hey, this is what I can help you do. This is the avenue that, I see you're going on, and this is probably an alternate route. I think before these young men are able to talk to other men, you guys need to do a lot of self-reflection. Take a look around your community and actually see who is the real problem. Why is this happening? Why can't a young lady go to the store without a man being there and yelling at her or saying profanities or anything derogatory? It's so much. I'm sorry. I hate excuses. I really do. And when a man gives excuses, I stop listening. I've really stopped listening, because what you're saying to me is, I can't, or I'm scared, or just no. That's what it sounds like. You're saying no, but using a whole lot of words. I yield. I'm going to need y'all to stand up. We're going to need y'all to come out. We need y'all to show up. You need to show up for your little friend that's 14 years old, babe. You really do. I yield.
Like I
All right, I wanted
said,
to respond to this guy in the comments. His name is I am Drip, which is already problematic in itself. But he says this is why black women need to date outside their race. I really am very irritated when I hear people say things like that. It's stupid, and I'll tell you why. Because dating outside the race is not going to fix the issues in the black community, nor is dating outside the race a recipe for perfection. Okay? White tea people are not perfect, Asian people are not perfect, Hispanics are not perfect, Latinos are not perfect. What Indians from India are not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Native Americans are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. So what are you really talking about? I just feel like that's a throw off when people say things like that. It's completely ignorant. I check black men who say it. I check black women who say, "Oh well, if we want to get things perfect, all we gotta do is get a white man." Do you really? Do you not hear white women complaining and screaming and hooting and hollering about the way they're treated by them, or no? Like we got to stop just saying things like that just to say it because it sounds good, because that's not a solution. So you got to do better, Drip. I added you up. You dropped. I don't know why, but probably because you knew that you didn't have a leg to stand on, which is fine. I'm glad that you realized the ignorance of your statement, but that's not a solution at all. Period. So anyway, I just want to say, we can't control the actions of black men. You know, we cannot control what they do. We cannot even control the media, because right now it's out of our hands. You have black men in positions of power like Jay-Z, like 50 Cent and others, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, that choose to, push forth the most harmful narratives and ignorant stereotypes in the black community, and only put us in one box of showing, dysfunctional black relationships, or showing criminal black men, and then be surprised when the world looks at them as criminals. That we can't control what they're doing, because it's already, the motion's already there, and white people have already got their hands in what's going on, and those black men are so greedy that they want to still get money, and they don't mind about what they're feeding the black community. We can't stop it, right? I don't think we cannot. Black women are only in control of their own selves and their own behavior, because black women are also being deleted right along with these black men as well at a very high percentage. So only thing I would like black women to do is to stop sharing in the blame with black men, because maybe if black men are able to stand alone and realize that the majority of these problems are directly caused by them, then maybe then they will have no choice but to take accountability for their actions. Because the many times we say, oh, it's the black community, it's the black community, it's everybody, it's equal on both sides. Yeah, I know black women that will do this and that too. When the statistics don't prove your point, maybe then we will be able to get them to be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Nobody else. When white people try to turn around and say, when they try to have racial based conversations, oh, well, y'all always unaliving each other. Oh, y'all always candy selling. When you just say, excuse me, no. I'm a black woman. You're talking to a black woman. It's not me. It's not us. It's not us. It's not us. It's not us. When they talk about, oh, black people aren't employed. Black women are the highest employed race of women out of all the races of women. Like, you have to separate yourself. Oh, no, not black women, not black women, because that's the only way that we can even begin to hold accountability for what's going on, is when we point the finger where it's supposed to go. And sharing in the blame with something that you're not doing is not going to make anything happen, because Lord knows if anything goes on with black women, black men ain't sharing in it. Even with the whole abortion issue, when they talk about black women and their abortion rates, even though abortion is something that is highly unregulated, they've already said that there's no way to determine how many abortions there are, because they aren't recorded. So if you think that these white girls that are out there getting white girl wasted at these college parties aren't unaliving and aren't having abortions at a higher rate than black women, you're nuts. But anyway, beyond that, they don't have any problems trying to put that strictly on black women. They're not talking about the black men that may have abandoned that woman, that made her feel like, hey, look, he's not going to be here for this baby, so I'm not going to keep it. Or the men that said, hey, girl, I don't want to pay child support. I don't want to have a kid, so go to the clinic. They're not willing to share in those, that when it comes to that. So why in the world would we share in something that we know we're not doing? You get what I'm saying? So in order for anything to go on, we've got to stop sharing in it. And I don't care what nobody say. I always say, I said it when I was on the shade room and seeing people talking about this topic of this black man being unalive with his 5-year-old daughter. And they were talking about black people, we got to stop killing each other. We got to stop unaliving each other. I said, you mean black men got to stop unaliving each other? Because black women ain't doing this. Black women not running down on a girl that she got beef with because her knotless braids didn't turn out right, and she went over there and unalived her and her little baby. Black women not doing that foolishness. So why in the world are we even dare taking the blame and accepting it? Like, come on now. Let's get real here. She said, you know what, sis? You know what? You made me mad when I was supposed to get my full set. You ain't put my rhinestones on there right. And you charged me $85. And the rhinestones came off. So I'm finna run down on you in the mall while you with your kids, and I'm finna pew you. Yeah, stop it. You don't hear that. And you don't hear it, and you never will. And it's not to say that there aren't some black women that do this, but y'all get what I'm saying. The majority of black women, 90+%, would never, ever, ever do that. So why are we sharing in it? That's all I gotta say. But anyway, I'm done, y'all. I hope that y'all enjoyed this live. I hope that everybody had a chance to express themselves the way they wanted to express themselves. I appreciate Dark Truth coming on, of course. That's my husband. I also appreciate you, 7 Mile, for coming on and being, brave enough to express what you wanted to say as well. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, Caramel Mermaid. Appreciate you, T. Appreciate you, Black Betty. Tag, it was somebody else that just dropped, but I forgot the name already. My mind. Oh, Juneteenth. Appreciate you, Super Villain. Appreciate you, Maya. Appreciate you, Danny. And I think that's everybody. But I probably forget some people. But I appreciate all of y'all that came up here and expressed yourselves. And I just want y'all to know that this is, and Caramel Mermaid as well. This will always be a safe space for Black women. You know what I'm saying? And Black women only. Anybody else that comes up here at your own risk. But hopefully, even with the debates that we had today among Black women, we're able to have a debate, have a difference of opinion, maybe even bump heads, but we're able to, at the end of the day, still, respect each other as Black women. And I think that's what sets us apart from everybody else. Thanks for the gift. I think that's what sets us apart from everybody else, that we as Black women, have enough love and respect for each other that we can do that we can bump heads, but still at the end of the day, still come together as Black women, you know? And with that being said, that's it. I just want to say, if you're a Black woman, you listen to this, I love you. You're awesome. You're amazing. You're special. You're valuable. And even if I don't agree with a perspective that you had, even if I don't agree with what you're saying, I still have love and respect for you because you're a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? And I just really, really want to get that across, that this will always be a place for Black women to express themselves, not an echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? Whether I agree or not, that's all I want to say. And Super Villain, I see you. I see. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I just want to say I love y'all. All right. And I hope that y'all have a great rest of y'all week. All right.